Hello and welcome to episode 259 of the FReality podcast. Here we are, broadcasting live from the middle of spooky season. And if you aren't horrified by the onslaught of kids expected to come into VR this December, thanks to the Quest 3S now being in stores, well, you should be. Just look at these glazed over eyes of these Rec Room veterans across the table from me. Hell, half of them deaf as if a mortar strike made of children's screams had landed next to them in some fictional war. All right, well, we've got both games and hardware packed into the show today. Here are our topics. Toilet got a clog? Well, don't worry. We can inspect your pipes this podcast. More on that later. Go and be merry. 'Tis the season of sequels for VR titles. And with Steam Next Fest open a few more days, you've got plenty of demos to explore in the meantime. We'll also bring flaming hot musicians into your home so they can be your very own jangly jesters. And finally, the Quest 3S is here, and we're going to share our first-hand feedback about Quest 3's younger sibling. After all of that, we've got Jose on releases to let you know what games have come out and what to pick up in the weeks ahead. And next up, some of our crew highlights. Jose, you're first up. How's it going down there in Miami, my man?
Yo, what's up? Actually haven't been much in Florida this week. I've been traveling quite a bit. Yeah, no, it's been nonstop. But I'm just been a little bit more of what I spoke about last week, but definitely playing a lot more games, consuming way more content. In fact, I've been using a computer probably more than I've used my laptop ever. I think one of my coworkers told me I was hitting like 7 to 8 hours a day on the Apple Vision Pro, which is awesome. It feels like, it's completely replaced my laptop. And the only way that I could find a way to describe it is rewiring. I think that's the right word that I can describe it. Like my entire perception of what VR is, what it could be, what it could do. It's always ever evolving for me. And that's happened with me. I was and I made a post about that kind of like trended quite a bit. I was one of those, you can't really have a mainstream VR headset without controllers. And I have never realized how incorrectly wrong that is. I truly believe that there is a future in eye tracking, in biometrics, and finger tracking for making it the main input on a device. And it sucks, right? Because there's so many pioneers in VR that have a completely opposite view of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's a earth-shattering moment for me, and it's also a really strong reminder of what I always say all the time: is the past can't dictate the future. In summary, it's a skill issue. It's a skill and technology issue. I truly believe that saying that something is impossible in our age of science and technology almost feels almost wrong, right? We have now rockets that can be caught midair, right? It's we're entering a very odd time where physics is, the limitations are becoming a argument more than a reality, and that's exactly where I'm at, right? So I'm dealing with a lot of rewiring, but for entertaining notes, I wanted to make you guys, it's pixel density, right? It's OLEDs, it's the screen. A lot of people talk about the importance, but I truly believe that unfortunately the Apple Vision Pro is like the best headset available right now that you just can't recommend. And it sucks because I want to recommend it to everybody, but I have this reality of the cost, but there's nothing unlike it, and I wish I could say otherwise, but the enthusiast, the technician in me, the person who understands pixel density, right? There's a reason why phones compete for pixel density. It starts tricking your brain. I've actually had dreams where I actually see notifications in like with headset off.
Seriously,
it's bizarre things that I'm dealing with where I'm like, whoa, like we probably are the simulation, and maybe because I'm in VR so much now in crystal clear quality that maybe my brain is triggering something. Like I've had these kind of weird complex thoughts on my own because of how much I'm using this headset.
Do you start
And
sleepwalking and doing this? Like,
oh man, I'm a little crab now all the time. Like I see things, I just imagine grasping on them. Um, Also, I use hard lens contacts. So one of the results of that, or the effects of it, is it tires my eyes out quite a bit. So I end up having like droopy, sleepy eyes quite a lot. And because of the Apple Vision Pro eye tracking, I'm almost like cognitively aware that if I do that, it's not going to track my eyes. And so I started like my eye. I can feel my eyes open more than
You're
ever, even without
you're
my headset on.
you're the ocular version of Rocky Balboa now. Da, da,
Literally,
da.
literally, I regained eye muscle. Exactly that. I feel like
I
I
feel my
regained
eyes,
eye
man.
muscle. It's so bizarre. It's just so many.
How many pounds can your eyes bench? You know?
Oh, I don't know, but they're strong. They're strong.
Little like
I'm
toothpicks with paperweights hanging or paper clips hanging off of them. Your
Tesla.
eyes are
Oh, God.
benching.
But
I
dude,
feel uncomfortable about that. But
eyelashes
this
feel.
is cool. So you're
Yeah.
basically saying goodbye to like you're like, sorry, Microsoft Windows, you lost me. I'm moving into the Apple ecosystem
I
now, making my bird nest
yeah.
over there.
I don't want a monitor anymore. We're
Wow.
finally there. Like a 4K monitor can be replaced by this. It's just as expensive as a 4K monitor. So it's but yeah, it's just really cool as a technician, as a futurist, as somebody who is I'm always chasing that high, which is thinking about the future. And the fact that this headset has allowed me to do that, I made my money's worth already. I'm really
So
excited.
what's your comfort solution, Jose? Because you're a guy who like just tweaks and refines and tries multiple things. Like what at the moment after
Yeah.
what a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
What's your go-to? How do you keep this thing on your head for hours?
Yeah, the Spigen, I think I'm saying that the name of the brand correctly. Spigen, SPI.
Spigen. That's probably
Spigen.
German.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a lot of phone cases. They have a head strap for the Apple Vision Pro. It's cloth based. It allows you to use the solo strap, which is the one that's adjustable with the little wheel that's famously shown with the Apple Vision Pro. The problem with that, the Apple Vision Pro is very front heavy. So the solo strap eventually, after a few hours, starts to collapse. Apple Vision Pro on the box, they give you something called like the dual strap, which is a flimsier strap option, which gives you the head strap, but then you lose the adjustable knob of the solo knit. So you can use one or the other. So the top strap that Spigen has allows you to use the solo strap with the tunable knob while also giving you a head strap, and it's cloth based. There's a lot of other options. There's some mods that allow you to like attach a Bobo strap, for example. But no offense to Bobo, because they do amazing head straps. That's a lot of plastic, and the Quest Pro is already heavy. So I'm not a really big
the
fan.
Vision Pro.
Yeah, the Vision Pro's already heavy. Yeah.
Trouble that I have with it is that like they engineered it so that it was front heavy, but also it's glass. And anyone who's seen those dramatic images of a cracked screen, like the last thing in my life I'd want if I had a $3,500 headset is to drop the thing. And like you've got a couple of things in there that unfortunately incent you towards dropping it. Like because you've got the puck, right? The battery tethered to the side of the headset, and you might pick it up off of, you might just walk away from your desk not realizing it could pull the headset that way. It's already front heavy, so if you have a soft strap, you might even drop it a few inches and have it crack. Like I don't know, it scares me because it is a lot of glass, and it's not that robust. It's like it's Apple robust, but it's not like
it definitely gives you
robust.
I feel like it gives you a sense of premium, but it's I guess the best way I can compare is like buying a luxury sports car and driving it around. Is you are aware you're driving a luxury sports car, so yeah, you might burn a tire or two, but you're going to be hyper aware that you're doing that, so you're extra careful. It's the same thing with using the Apple Vision Pro. I'm usually sitting down. I don't I'm not going to pretend this is a stand-up VR headset, right? So I'm always sitting on a desk using it as a monitor, which is what I'm using it as a replacement to my computer, and then using it laying down. So I'm not doing anything that will cause this to break or fall off my head, is what I'm trying to get at.
Sorry, I was visually reacting there to Arcanian saying in chat that the worst part is hooking the cable around a door handle when you're walking by it.
Oof, that sounds terrifying. Yeah, see, I don't be.
My
yeah, no.
feckin' God, that sounds like. Can you just
Yeah.
imagine the jarring nature of that thing
Yeah.
ripping off of your head and you
Yeah.
fumbling to catch the ball, so to speak, and then
No.
hopefully you catch it. It doesn't swing into the
No,
door or
no.
whatever. Kill a
I'm a
Those are
puppy.
gonna have
confident. I'm a
nightmares.
confident person, but I'm as confident as I attempt to be.
When it comes to
I don't-
cables,
yeah,
man,
no.
I root everything down my shirt. Like I just,
Yeah.
nothing's hanging out. Nothing's hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, this sounds nice. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, it's here. Like that's the coolest
It's here.
part is that like they engineered it. It's a real thing. We no longer have to speculate that Apple's going to drop a headset. It's literally purchasable. You can walk into a store and demo it. I do again strongly recommend that people do that. My experience of it was exactly what you said at the start, Jose. It's like it's incredible in terms of the engineering, but you can't recommend it to anybody almost.
No.
You know, if you got loads of money, if you're loaded,
Yeah.
absolutely pick one up.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like it's
And
tough.
I think it's going to start a conversation about this being a VR headset. I don't think this is a VR headset. This is a computer on a headset form factor. This is if you're looking for a VR headset, get a Quest 3. Get a Quest 3. That's the best VR all-in-one headset in the market because that has a VR application ecosystem and this is a computer. You're not going to find, Instagram apps and all these other apps that you see on your mobile device. This is a web browser power machine. This is for you to use it as a desktop replacement or laptop replacement. And media consumption, which is the last thing I wanted to bring up, and a little fun stuff. I sent it to Rowdy. Hopefully, I can share it in the podcast. But consuming content has been my absolute favorite thing, especially because you can almost turn any 2D content into immersive video. And scrolling through TikTok has been, unfortunately, one of my favorite things, especially when traveling on an airplane. And I found this account that I just had to talk to you guys about. It's called Max 2049. And the premise of this is Max is the cat. It's a cat that lives in this rural urban area. I think it's somewhere in Europe. And the owner, he sees his cat leave around all the time, and the owner decided to attach a GoPro to Max to see what Max does around, the urban cityscape. Turns out that Max is a bully, like the biggest cat bully that I've ever seen, and apparently this is how cats really are in urban environments, but nobody gets to see that in real time because they don't get GoPros attached to them all the time. But the fascinating thing about this is how immersive the GoPro makes the content, especially when you're watching this in full screen. I started having nightmares, and maybe you guys can see a little bit of it, but you can actually hear the breathing of the cat. You see the stalking, you see the paws, and you're watching this in full screen. And so it crystal clear quality, as I mentioned, rewiring of the brain. This is how my dreams look like now. And so
I'm a cat, but with the video version.
Yeah, it is.
Realistic, I am cat.
It really looks
it's
good.
somewhere in Asia as well. Like you can see
I don't know where it is, but
the bamboo.
Yeah.
That cat needs to be put on a most wanted list. That's all I know is that. Dude, I'm telling you, it is the GoPro is like I feel like the GoPro actually buffed the cat a little bit because it slows it down so it allows the victim to actually be able to get away. So I actually want the GoPro to stay on the cat, but I also don't want it to stay on the cat because it feels like the videos get intense. Like this, like Max is a bully. That was like the safest one after like an hour of scrolling to show you guys.
That's amazing.
God.
The cat fight scene where he's like running through the grass and the other cat's dodging. That could be like proper cinema. That looks really cool.
It's
what was it again? Max 2049. 2049.
Yeah, like they knew exactly what they were going for with this account, and it's
What a dick.
yeah. It's
okay. I got a feeling Max isn't going to live to 2049, but
I think it will. I think it will. I think it will die, go to hell, and get brought back to life.
Like this, yeah.
That cat's a demon.
But this is the beautiful part is that like, and it's funny because like I've been having the same feeling. Now I'm usually doing my media watching in a Quest 3 with an extended battery strap or whatever, but like media watching is so nice in that you can just sit in your environment, you can plug things in there, and you feel like the computing is no longer in a box. it's like now it's in my life and it's just floating around. But that's amazing that you get it full screen and all that. I love the TikTok videos where you're like, that's my number one. That's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the number one fan account now. It's
I'm gonna check that out. That sounds great. We got to pull that link into comments. All right, cool. Well, Jose, sounds like you're doing great. Adam, you're usually a very busy bomb body, I'm betting. So how's life going over in LA?
It was good. I was actually in Vegas though for the past week. Okay, from
Everyone's
one
moving
city to a
around.
different city. No, that was just for fun though. Had a friend come over and wanted to just take her out, see what Vegas was like because it had been like 20 years. So I do have stuff that I want to talk about Vegas, but I don't have the video for it yet because it's still in my smart glasses. Because I went around and there's something called the Illuminarium, which they do a bunch of projections in a room, and it's sort of like interactive. It feels like maybe they use Kinects, but I can't be sure. But it's really cool. I'll post that on my Twitter later. But I did get to try Sandbox VR, the location-based VR arcade. They recently released a new experience. Like in the past, they've had Deadwood Mansion, Deadwood Valley, I think, and then their latest one is Deadwood Phobia, which is supposed to be a more kind of scarier version of these. They're all zombie-themed shooters, by the way, and it was fun. I feel like every time they make a new experience, it gets better than the last. So this one takes place more in like a mental hospital, I suppose, or like a phobia hospital where they there's a part where you're on in VR a moving platform and it takes you through things like claustrophobia. So you have to kind of physically move your body to get around walls. And there's another one, I forget what it's called, but like the phobia of being touched. And so there's like hands that come out from the walls and stuff
Fun.
and the ceiling. I think it's pretty fun.
You clearly look like an American in this video, like the way you're like angling that weapon. It's
yeah,
like
for real.
you're handling that as if you're like, this is just a regular day in LA, like, no worries.
Zombies, gangsters, whatever. It's all the same.
No, that's pretty cool. But how did they do the hands part? Did they have? Is that just the VR part? There weren't actual like.
Oh no,
hands
that was
models and
VR.
stuff?
I mean, you
Okay.
have like a B haptics vest, so it kind
Oh,
of
you do feel something. Yeah.
yeah, you feel something. But what's cool is that now they're trying a new thing. They tried this with their last one, Seekers of the Dragonfire or whatever something it was called. But they're trying to get more people into repeat visits, and so now they offer like weapons that you unlock a weapon when you beat it. So the physical card really you don't need to bring this in, but
Yeah, that looks sick, man.
have.
I'm
Yeah.
an Magic the
Cool.
Gathering guy. That looks amazing.
Yeah, so you can, now that you've played it once, you've unlocked 2 like premium weapons. One's like a Gatling gun and the other one's some kind of a laser or something or other. So now you can use those next time you play. And I think Seekers, their names are just so confusing. The Dragonfire one, their RPG one was sort of similar in that once you beat it once, you unlock different melee weapons that you can now choose when you go back. So I'm like, oh, cool. They're trying to come up with ideas on how to make this replayable and make you want to come back.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it was pretty fun. Like the way that they utilize the space each. Oh god, he's showing the. Oh no, it's not the dance one. There's like Sandbox VR is
I'll
so
get there.
is notorious for having a weird dance party thing at the end.
Oh,
Have you
really?
ever been to one of those?
Really? Even if of a so you do your zombie shoot and then you've got a dance party at the end of it?
Yeah, it's just you get like a selfie video at the end. So you get 3 videos, which is cool. They are really good about giving you stuff you can share. There's like a vertical one, top bottom, that just shows gameplay. Then you get sort of a more cinematic one. And then you get like a dance thing. Once you beat a Sandbox VR experience, they put you in like a dance floor thing. It's so weird.
That's such a
But I won, so I guess this one's pretty good.
Oh my god. That's
I got the
funny.
highest score. This one was, I don't know, it's if you haven't been to a Sandbox VR and you have one near you, though, I highly recommend it, especially if you have like friends or family that are like, oh yeah, I know that you're into this VR thing, but maybe you don't necessarily want to take them through the, fitting of the quest and
Yeah.
figuring out what game would be good for them. Just take them to a Sandbox. It's much easier.
Outsource that shit.
Yeah.
I've been there. Like it's funny because it's like a 50-50, I find, with family and friends and stuff. Like people who aren't gamers or aren't into VR. Like half of them were like, "This is just too much faff or whatever." So that's a good recommendation, actually. I hadn't thought about that. It's like, let's meet at this place, let them deal with it. So then, if they don't like it, it's not attached to you at all. It's just, oh, that was like a, it's like having a bad movie, right? It's like, ah,
Yeah.
that wasn't
And I
it
think
Yeah.
sometimes like this one actually went well in that like everybody's microphones were working and the tracking was good. But there are some times where it's like, oh crap, like you can't hear one person, or suddenly you lose tracking in an arm, and then you have like I luckily have never had a time where I actually had to raise my hand to be like, hello, my thing is broken. But sometimes I've gotten close. But this one, maybe I don't know if I just got lucky and got a better session, or maybe they are improving their stuff. But this one was good. We could hear each other. Nothing broke.
Yeah. No, it's a really good habit for them to give you the takeaways. And honestly, this is so sad, but you just flashing me a flashy piece of cardboard, that little piece of paper, that little card.
Yeah, look at
I'm
that.
like,
Yeah,
It's a cool card.
God,
shiny.
that would attract me to
Wow.
go play just that, just to collect that one card. That's how
And
sad I am.
actually, what's cool is you can use this not only in the one that I played, but in the other Deadwood games they have too. So
Really?
Stop
Deadwood
selling it to
Phobia is
Zim.
the newest one.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Well, we
spend
have
all the podcast
Sandbox in
money on these
Toronto.
cards.
You're just gonna you'll see canceled podcasts, and I'll just be off playing the Sandbox.
I want to
That's
go. I'll go back.
Yeah.
It's-
More
it
cards.
looks really cool. Cool. Adam, well, that sounds like lots of fun. Where was that? Did you do that then in Vegas or LA, or where was the Sandbox experience?
They had a couple of them in Vegas, but I wasn't sure if we were gonna be able to fit it in like in our plans. So I ended up just booking one that's sort of like local to us just in case. But I kind of wish that we did it in Vegas, just so I could be like, yeah, we did Sandbox in Vegas. I don't know, that sounds fancier for some reason,
Yeah.
even though it's the same thing.
Yeah, it does a little. Cool. And then you said maybe some of your, I suppose on your socials, you'll post some of the Ray-Ban coverage from Vegas then at some point.
Yes,
You haven't?
yeah, I'll have some shiny stuff and lights from first-person perspective. I'll get that once I edit stuff together on Twitter. Yep.
Sounds great. All right, we'll go follow Adam on her socials. Very good. Well, Rowdy, I don't know where he is. I can't keep track of where Rowdy is, thanks to the
I don't know where I
Heisenberg
am.
uncertainty principle. How's life, man? How's it going over there?
Yeah, I'm just happy I recovered. It's been a while since I was that sick. I mean, like I don't really get like sick, but like I lose my voice. Like, and there's like nothing I can do or say that like people are like, are you all right? Like, yeah, it's been a while since I had that, but yeah, when it happens, it really sucks. And it usually like evolves from like a little bit of a cold. I still have a little bit of like a cough, as you can tell. I hope it's not too annoying when I'm doing that, but I've pretty much fully recovered, which is good. Things have been busy.
Good.
Things have been crazy. I've been following all of you guys as well. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. I saw that Apple actually also released their first. I was thinking, Jose, that you were going to mention that, but I don't know if you noticed actually, but they have their first video actually that they scripted in the Apple Vision Pro, a short film that
Yes.
they created.
Oh yeah,
Which
the
is-
submergence. You're like
Submerged.
underwater.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that is something that I thought was really exciting to see that kind of stuff happening. And yeah, it does make me more excited about like the application of these kind of headsets that are coming out that are outside of that just that virtual reality gaming bubble. And that are actually showing real life applications, which I think is really cool to see that happening just in general.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is that whenever big name companies pour money into a production, like there's such a flash in the pan moment. Like and VR, like again, I remember when Facebook would do it, or a bunch of other companies where they'd like pour a lot of money into a project, and then it would be there, and you could try it. Maybe a location based experience or something that came to a headset. But like it's a really special moment because like you either decide to get on that train and take the ride, or chances are 5 years from now you won't be able to do the same thing. Like it's just technology's been iterating so quickly.
Yeah.
So
So
I would
what-
recommend if you
what
see
is
that
this-
stuff.
What
do
is
it.
the submerged thing? Like
Oh,
they
maybe
put a
I'll look
head
it up for
underwater?
you.
What?
It's a
No.
360. It's a spatial movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like maybe I'll show
Is
the-
it
I'll show
360? I thought it was 180,
forever.
but if it's 360, that's rad.
No, it may be 180. I know
Let me
it's
see if I
a
can find it.
Cool
it's a movie.
stare- proper stereo depth, like
Yeah.
cinematic
What's,
experience that you can have in an Apple Vision Pro. Is
Are
it
they
a paid for
more-
experience or is it a freebie? I assumed it was
I have
paid.
no idea. Let
I
me
think it's gonna be a
see.
freebie since it's for the Apple Vision Pro. You might have to have an Apple Vision Pro.
It's only $3,500 to watch
yeah.
this thing. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll have more to say. I'll watch it tonight. I
Lord.
think I'm gonna have some things to do.
Is
I'm
it-
actually
does it
looking if
take
I
you
can
to, like,
find
a
it on the
special-
website.
Like
I'm
a
just
certain
seeing.
place underwater, or like what?
I'm just
What-
looking. So
No.
it says, I turn around to see if submerged. Okay, let's see. So it's 180 degrees. Once you reach the border, it fades to black. Just reading a little bit about this, given we're doing this on the fly.
Let me
Water.
show the thing here. So this is the news thing that they released. Apple Dab is the first scripted film captured in Apple Immersive Video and reveals new immersive films for Apple Vision Pro. And then they have a little trailer here, which maybe I'll show.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so it's about 17 minutes long. It does sound. I don't see the words free, but it does sound like, aside from the $3,500 entry cost, that's all you gotta pay to watch a 17.
Oh, it's in a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I was like, is it just like nature documentary thing?
It is-
right,
it is a
like
short film,
see
yeah.
some fish. But
Okay.
it looks to me. I think the thing that would come through, and Jose, you got to tell us what this feels like. I imagine this feels very claustrophobic.
Oh yeah.
That's what they're going for.
I should have watched this on the airplane actually.
Done. You tell us. So
Yeah.
getting things done in chat, and I actually just had a date night with Dunn and his wife Joy, Joy
Aw.
Rain. So shout out to Dunn there. But he said he and his wife watched together in their Vision Pros, and it blew him away. So definitely keen to hear that. But yeah, like anyone who's ever been, on like a war vessel or whatever, I mean, it's such a cramped corridor,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like,
last week.
oh, it's scary. What, last week? Yeah, sure. He's swabbing decks now.
Yeah.
That's how he moves.
He's our Carmen Sandiego, is what. Well, that's
Yeah.
Rowdy.
But like I
Looks
already
cool,
have
though.
it when I'm watching a movie or I'm even listening to a book or something where it's like someone is like drowning or like swimming to the surface, like I'm there like holding my breath as well, you know what I mean?
Oh.
So I can't even
Yeah,
imagine
Max
God.
how that is
2049,
with this.
bro.
I'm like
This is why you gotta watch Max 2049. You get it. Wait, you gotta watch in VR. You'll hear the sounds, the breathing. You get it.
Jesus.
Yeah. But I don't even need. I just need like an audio subscription. I don't need like a $3,500 headset to get that experience.
I don't know, man.
We're all divers here. We're all divers. We just want to dive in one way or another. Audio, visual. Oh, that's great. Haptics. Don't forget about
Yeah,
haptics.
well, I mean, it's cool because we are such empathic individuals, right? Like another person's experience is something that really reflects with us, and we've done that very well with vision and audio, and even with reading and these kind of things. So that I just think that VR is like a step further even into that, like bringing you into that experience that or augmented reality can do that too. But yeah, it's just that idea of that you are that person. I know that in Ready Player 2 there was this entire concept as well where you can experience everything anyone has ever experienced in their life, from the craziest stuff to the most plain stuff. Like, how does it feel like
Most mundane.
Yeah, and I know that when virtual reality came out, they were very focused on that as well, and that's kind of diminished a little bit, I would say. I remember a lot of the earlier experience were how does there was one day in the life of a black person, where you get people giving you snarky remarks, or how does it feel to be a woman walking down the street? These kind of experiences. I think virtual reality opens up a door to that, to make that, and not only in those kind of settings, but also in terms of, for example, I know there was a very popular one of for example, for autism disorder, where how does it feel to be on the spectrum of autism disorder, and having that experience in virtual reality makes people more aware and more understandable as well of these kind of things that are happening, which I think is a really cool way of using that medium.
The one that struck me was when there were I'll say immigrants or migrants, refugees probably is the best term.
Right? Yeah.
trying to cross the channel, I think the UK or between two countries anyway, like on a boat, and they gave you this sense of like, sitting on that boat in the middle of the ocean, the fog's
Yeah.
there, and then it capsizes, like it does not go well, right? And between that or the Berlin Blitz feature where you saw, a World War pilot like coming back and you could hear the actual audio, like these experiences do put you in the seat in a way that impresses an education that you can't get from outside of that person's like
Yeah,
body,
'cause,
not in the
like-
same way.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
us, like humans are weird, right? Like if you tell like oh these people are in dire need of help, then everybody's like they don't care, or like there's no real connection. But if it then happens in like they go and spend $15 and go and watch a movie, and the movie is about that entire concept of like people trying
Exactly.
to leave or like flee from a country of war, or like they build that kind of connection and with these people, then they have a far stronger emotional response to that kind of environment.
Yeah.
So, and I think that virtuality is a perfect medium that maybe a lot of these companies that are looking for these kind of funds could use or could leverage in terms of like making people aware of these kind of real life situations that are
Right.
happening. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think
And
I
we
think
we,
it's
we
really
don't
good
we
to
don't
see
talk about
happen.
that. We don't really talk about that enough, and I agree with you, Rowdy. It's been a little bit of a slowdown, it feels. You can find it in the right
Yeah.
pockets, but it is uncommon. Less common now than, say, in 2017. There was a lot more of that.
Yeah.
And also, the thing that surprised me when I first got into VR, for anybody who's listening who has never tried a VR headset, like, I remember getting behind a truck, in Euro Truck Simulator and going, this is going to be so boring. Or someone who's played, like, Power Wash Simulator. Like, things that you think are just mundane tasks. And then when you do them, like even from a gamer perspective, you're like, oh, this is super fun. So it's that whole rainbow of like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, being able to experience something really thrilling. Like I remember Rush, for example, being able to like skydive or jump off, do base jumping, that type of thing. And those experiences really do, they help you at least take a step in that direction. What would it feel like? Whether it's a wind tunnel or that jump thing, Adam, that you did. I mean, there's all these different things that allow you to kind of take a step. And then some of that sticks. Like I remember getting on a roller coaster again after like 3-4 years of riding VR roller coasters. It was like, I'm not scared of this anymore. Like it's unlocked it in me where I can dissociate myself from the concern I had. And now I'm able to ride like crazier coasters. And it's like, heck, that's so cool. Like what a cool superpower.
Yeah, like for phobias, I feel like it'd be a good way to slowly,
Yeah.
well, I guess certain phobias, but like to acclimate someone or at least get them not so deathly afraid of certain things, but you don't, I mean, I know there was, what was that one phobia game recently, but that was more, I wouldn't say that one's actually helping you with phobias, it's more of it's like arcadey. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking
the
about?
one button tap out one? The one where you
Yeah.
could slap a button and it would take you out. You
Nope,
started with
nope
like
challenge.
nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like they kind of tried to do that there, but I would say it's more fun gamey instead of an actual like phobia tool. Although they do try to start like with spiders, it's just a picture of a spider that comes out of a conveyor belt, and then eventually you have to touch the picture of the spider. It's like a cartoon drawing, and then it gives you like, oh, it's a toy of a spider. So I feel like it could be something like that, but more specific towards phobias and less
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
maybe.
Or there's a point of inflection coming there because as it becomes more real, I feel like we're going to go from helping people with phobias to
Kicking
inducing
them?
phobias. Because like
Creating
think
new
about
ones, yeah.
a full form, like full fat, like full body dive in Face Your Fears or a Resident Evil or something with all the spiders and like they're definitely we're around the corner from it. Right now you can your brain can kind of separate like these safety nets between two hemispheres. Like this is real and this is enjoyably virtual. We're going to get to terrifyingly virtual where people have a heart attack or come out with PTSD. Like it's definitely going to be possible and not too long from now. So I'm actually looking forward. I'm looking forward to that.
And I think a very strong and I don't see that being used enough, like a very strong like pro for virtual reality is the concept of like you can be like the youngest person can be the smartest in the room, but he's rarely the wisest. It's like, the older you are, the more real life experience that you have, the more wisdom that you usually have. And that's the same like for like, kind of experience that you have. If you've grown up in a very comfortable life setting and you're a very smart individual, you've never had struggles that maybe other people have had. And I think with virtual reality, you you're able to expose yourself, just like, people who travel a lot. Like they might not, be the most successful in their career, but they have a certain amount of life experience that is unique, and it makes them very valuable as a person because, the amount of experience that they have, real life experience, speaking to different cultures, like these kind of things is incredibly valuable, I think. And that develops you as a person. And I think with virtual reality nowadays, you're able to, I'm not saying it's equal, not the closest, but you're able to expose yourself to these kind of experience that you would never be able to expose yourself to in another way. Like, for
Exactly.
example, how is someone who has dementia experiencing the world? Like, we can build these applications out there, and having that kind of understanding, I think, is just very powerful, and that's a very powerful pro for virtual reality outside of the entire.
And I
thing,
wanted
think.
to add, Rowdy, to what you just said, because it was very poetic about experience versus knowledge,
Intelligence
and
versus wisdom, yeah.
intelligence versus wisdom, and there's these technologies, as much as we're talking about it, have existed since the early 60s.
Yeah.
There has been books, research, and fundamental infrastructure that has done deeper research than we could ever have today into these fields, and there's a reason most of them have not gone after those ladders that we're talking about. Yes, we can argue that's mostly technology, but there's also a lot of wisdom behind the fact that a lot of these researchers didn't go after cognitive reprogramming, because as I was making a joke about the Max 2049 videos, but there is something deeper there.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the right knowledge to speak about reprogramming of the mind at a conscious level, where it truly feels like you're taking a backseat drive, or you're in the first, you're taking a first, like you're riding a vehicle of somebody's, not just body but cognitive. It's emotional. I don't even think virtual reality is the right word, because reality almost is associated with visual. Nobody's thinking about the emotional, fundamental, psychological part of it.
And also, it's
technology,
the most successful entrepreneurs. It's not because they're incredibly intelligent. It's because they have a certain amount of experience and a certain amount of struggle that they went through in their lives that put them into that position. Very often, they're from a migrant background that moved to a different country, that know how to struggle, and that don't want to go back to a place like that, or that they're able to look at things in a different way that just connects. And I think that's very powerful. It has often nothing to do with being smart. Well, I mean, being smart is useful, but it's definitely not the only thing.
Smart enough.
Exactly.
So that's a great segue. Rowdy, thank you for kind of reflecting on that, and also
here.
covering the submersed piece.
I liked this.
This is
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was
like
just
a
start
nice.
crying. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, man.
We've all gone super emo here. One thing, just as a warning, John had said there are 2 jump scare moments that make you forget you're in a headset, thanks to the clarity of the Apple Vision Pro if you do go for submerged. So
I'm ready.
buyer beware before you go in. With that, I wanted to thank Chad for coming to another live show as we dive even deeper into the promise of VR, MR, and this lovely budding frontier of new technologies. For my highlight this week, and coupled so well with Rowdy, you've built me the perfect segue here. I found an experience piece as I was playing around with and testing out the Quest 3S. Not limited to the Quest 3S, but I just experienced it in that headset. This would work with any color pass-through headset, so Quest 3, Quest 3S, either of those would work. An experience called Impulse. And Impulse is I'll call it a slightly gamified experience, but helps you learn about what it's like to be someone with ADHD. And so this kind of dumps you into what is at first quite a visual spectacle. The thing that I noticed initially was there were almost blinders, like a field of view style narrowing, almost with like an acidic center to it, so like a dissolve almost, but it would narrow your vision and it would force you to fixate on a particular part of your real life room, right? Almost like you were maybe about to faint or something, for anyone who's ever been through that, where like, things start to zoom in, right? And and it starts off And so aside from this kind of disturbed vision that you get at the beginning, you're then given a series of chaotic tasks. Pair this information with that, hoover up some data and place it here. And it all worked pretty well to kind of give you this sense of unease, I would say, just about like how you're experiencing the world to start off with. This thing end to end is about a 40-minute spectacle. You end up in a position where you start crossing maybe 5 or 6 different like troubled people, I'll say, people who are afflicted by this, who got into difficult parts in their life, and you hear them talking, but then you see kind of an animated figurine in like a 3D diorama out in your real world. And it's cool because it doesn't just use one part of your room, so it feels very much like a room scale experience. So it'll use this corner and then that table and then that chair, and then there's parts of this whole kind of telling, this story, this tale reminded me of a project Rowdy and I both tipped our hat to about 3 years ago called Battle Scar. Punk was invented by girls. Do you remember that? It was about like
amazing one. Yeah. I love that one.
Even trying to find the bloody name of that took me probably 25 minutes. And this is what I was meaning like earlier. Like there are times, there's these little spikes that happen where a project comes out and maybe everybody covers it and then it just goes away in time. And if you missed it, chances are you're not going to stumble upon it. People aren't going to mention it. And so if you're into what I would call like watching storytelling in VR,
it's like immersive theater really almost.
Yeah, immersive theater is a great way to coin it, Rowdy. So the animation style was like cel-shaded effects. You were running down dark corridors. It was this tale, these girls putting together a band. It was really punk, right? Really punk. So that was called Battle Scar. But if you enjoyed something like that, or in fact you go and check out this recommendation from, which is go try Impulse and this ADHD kind of special. Like those things are really neat. They're very digestible, easy to do in under an hour to, pay for it, download it, experience it, and get out.
The story was actually about her conflicting relationship with her parents, right?
I think you're right on about that. It's been a few years, so I would struggle to. I just remember it was like band related. She was busting out of a window, or it felt like a girl running away from home.
So do you have ADHD? Because I'm curious if anyone who has it have tried it. Because my husband has it, and stuff that he tries to explain to me, I'm just like, that don't make sense to me. So I'm wondering if this would help, or empathize.
I have to say, I haven't played it, but when you described the moment where people were talking about their feelings and then a 3D character shows up randomly in the background, that sounds like ADHD, which is the immediate disconnect of empathy or emotion because of distraction. It's just something that pops up in your brain that just whips you away from even being able to build a connection. And some people see it as a superpower because of that itself. It removes the empathy because you get to focus on something else that takes immediate attention. But it also causes those that are on the end of that, receiving end of that, to feel attacked, neglected, ignored. So it's
articulated, Jose. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last thing I wanted to kind of try to express about that experience was their use of shadows, which was phenomenal. I mean, even if you're not into the art house style stuff, even if you don't give a feck about other people's experiences, like there's a quarter of people who are like this. I would almost say, just from a technical showcase, check this out, because about halfway through, man, they hit you with a use of shadows in mixed reality, which I've never seen before. And it really works. So when I first got into VR early on, like DK1, DK2 era, when you realized shadows and characters was really important, I would harken this back to that. It's just like a step function. You go from having experienced it to like, holy shit, I want this always. So it was a monochromatic, like, coverage of the rooms. The room's been mapped, right? Spatially mapped through the Quest software. The software is then portraying like birds flapping their wings, that picture of a silhouette of grating rails or whatever, but it's sweeping around your room, and it's painted in such a way that it's fluid. It's animated in a way that just felt integrated and real. And this is so, and it's all black and white, right? It's all done in black and white. So it was really nuts. So Rowdy, in terms of the shadows one, it's after the link for Battle Scar. You should have that. But it was all in black and white, and it felt like kind of like you'll see it on screen here in just a second. But the way it's integrated it felt real. Kind of like I was all of a sudden in an Alfred Hitchcock film, because everything is in black and white, but then there's shadows moving in my environment, and that mixed with the audio, the sonic
Wow.
like landscape of it was jarringly amazing. It was just like, I was like, whoa, why hasn't anyone else ever done this before? This feels real. Like it's like someone's shining a light in my real room, and it didn't feel like there was any disconnect
Oh.
between like in VR, if you're convincing VR,
That's
it's
cool.
completely consistent. It felt in real life completely consistent.
That was not what I was picturing at all.
That's ADHD. That's you're noticing. Yeah, that's what ADHD is. It's a hyper sense of awareness. Some people call it sentry mode, which is essentially that's what's happening. You're noticing the shadows are moving in a pattern that they're not supposed to, and ADHD allows you to do that. You can notice things that are moving outside of mechanics.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned it's like hypersensitivity, right? But it's not. There's no hallucinations. Like I just want to be clear on that. There's no positive additional, symptoms that you're getting there. Like it's not like
so,
people
I
there
can't
are
comment
imagining these kind of things. Yeah.
I cannot comment on the efficacy of portraying ADHD in this way. All I can say is, as a storytelling and then showcase of some technical trickery that I'd never seen before, especially done in MR, that package, it was a sandwich of like 3 different things, and it was a really, I'm glad I ate that. You could call it an Oreo sandwich because of the black and white, but it was cool. It was really cool. So that's my highlight from the last couple of weeks anyway.
Of the battle scar. Maybe I'll show that one too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Show some battle scar, because I let people know what that is, and then I'll move on to the next bit. But battle scar is cool. But we've had like so many of these projects that have happened, have been funded. They're like very indie, and then I feel like the gamer VR creator doesn't normally show this kind of stuff. Like they tend to bruise past it, and actually, a lot of this is the most emotive. Like I remember seeing one which I had to step out of at OC5, which was just done in an Oculus Go, and it was about rape victims. And you're standing there, people being like talking about their experience or whatever, and I couldn't. You could see it in the face. I could not hack it. Like there was too much human texture there. And I forget the name of that one, but some of these are really emotive, and you get to see them at like special showcases. We see it here in Toronto at 5 Hours, which is something here. You see it in the Venice VR exhibitions. So look out for the stuff if you don't know about it. If you're just a hardcore gamer, maybe not for you, but yeah, it's gonna hit your heartstrings.
This looks awesome.
Okay, so I need to, before we get towards the main news and all of that, I need to lay a foundational reminder of our past. Do you all remember Striking Vipers? Striking Vipers was, as this is a reference, this is like reference material why I'm inserting this here. In Black Mirror, season 5, episode 1, there was a pair of dudes who take out new, modern, very futuristic VR gear, and it was really slim, and I remember it was like a chip or something like that you placed behind your ear. And basically it threw you into kind of like a Street Fighters-esque
Dead or Alive
VR scene. Right? Dead or Alive is a good one, yeah. And so this was showing this, and the thing that made this so kind of contentious at the time, right? It was 2 dudes who just like loved gaming together, whatever, up late at night, and they end up in this virtual environment, and it's kind of like, what's her name? Who's the Street Fighter lady? I can't remember her name.
Chun-Li.
Chun-Li and Ryu, for example, right? It's like Chun-Li and Ryu, and then the 2 buddies. And again, spoiler, okay? They start, they're freaking out. They go further than that, proper heated. Like it is a hot and heavy thing, right? But then it's weird because like, and I'll stop the spoilers here, but like their partners or whatever catch on to the whole thing. It's a great episode anyway. But this I just wanted to remind people of Striking Vipers, and also mention Black Mirror, which is a great, sometimes disturbing show. The 7th series of this was announced in like last year, so that's not news for anybody. But we now know that we're going to get 6 episodes in 2025, And one of those episodes is going to be a sequel somewhere from the past 6 seasons of
I hope
content.
it's
And
one
I'm
of the
wondering what
positive
that
ones.
is.
I always like this
I
one,
hope
like
it's not the pig. I hope it's not the the guy screwing a pig. That I would prefer it's not that. What would
That's
you
done.
want, Rowdy? What would you want?
I don't know. There's like maybe 3 episodes or some of them which are positive. I would say at least I have a less dystopian outlook on the future. I would say like
Yep.
San Juniper is a very famous one, which I really liked. I'm hoping that there's, although I mean I get it, like a lot of people like the dystopian kind of thing, but I don't know. Like it would be nice to have a little bit more of a few utopian ones instead of everybody is awful, everybody dies, everything is shit, we're the bad
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
It's
honestly,
very
it is.
dystopian. Like I can't watch like 3 episodes in a row and then like feel good about myself anymore.
Same. Yeah.
So that's coming. And so on a on a completely unrelated note. So anyway, no real motive. I wanted to lay that brickwork for you, as we're just to chew on for a bit before this aptly timed segue. And before we dip off to our newsreel, I'd like to thank our sponsor for the show today, and that's Kluge Interactive for supporting the podcast. Kluge is best known for synth writers, but today we get to speak about their new game, Final Fury. It's a groundbreaking VR fighting game inspired by the golden age of arcade fighters. I fondly remember everything from Killer Instinct to Clay Fighter 64. And in this game, you get to spar online with others or solo against computer-controlled opponents. And with a multitude of characters to choose from, you have the ability to attack, block, and unleash a special, as would be counted as staple requirements for any decent fighter. This is presently available through Steam Next Fest to check out as a demo. Although Next Fest is wrapping up just this Monday on October 21st, the demo for Final Fury will last a bit longer, with an extension out to October 28th. So you got a full week to check it, even if you're catching the podcast late. So I recommend go and warm yourself up, because soon after the demo goes offline, Kluge are going to kick it up a notch with a Synth Riders Halloween update. So for the riders out there, keep an eye around for Halloween for more news about that one. I want to thank again Kluge for helping us live out those dark fantasies and for sponsoring another episode. All right.
I'm
with
not doing
that where that
that
was
with
going?
you guys. I'm not doing that.
So Jose, you and I are going to hook up tomorrow, right, man?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I'll be wearing my
Double
fanciest
entendre?
glitch avatar. That's
Is that a reference to the Striking Viper? Is that where that was going?
I'm calling shotgun on Ryu or whatever character.
what the homies do in the lobby stays in the lobby. That's all I say.
That's right. I plan on
Wow.
checking out a bit of Next Fest, because there's a lot of VR stuff that looks good tomorrow on stream. So if anyone's interested in that or just want to watch it vicariously as Jose and I hook up, there you go. All right. All right. Next up on the reel, we got sequels. This is going to be a sequel segment, right? So first up, Alien Isolation. So we know Rogue Incursion is coming from Servios, right? But then the feckin' bomb dropped, and they're like, guess what? We're bringing Alien Isolation, a sequel. Feckin' love this news. The original release was, I was aghast at this date, October 6th, 2014, which was like,
No.
yeah, 2014. And
I
a
had to check
lot
the year.
has changed since then, right?
Oh god.
I mean, the Oculus line and I have had similar accomplishments in that time. They spawned 3 little ones, and so did I. They've got the Quest 1, the Quest 2, and the Quest 3, and I've got my 3 little kids. And now I'm playing games like Demeo and Among Us VR with my Wii scrubs, and Alien's gone and decided to make a comeback, which means it's about time for me to shove my 10-year-old daughter into an Alien universe whenever that drops. I look forward to that.
Yes.
So, just to, again, set the record straight for those who didn't know any better, there was the Mother VR kind of Libre mod that was out a couple of years after the launch of Alien Isolation, but actually the studio themselves had initially introduced a VR version. It didn't ship with the game, but with a single INI file switch, you could activate it. And that's how I played it. And it was amazing. It was truly, truly horrifying. Having an alien thump down a corridor at you as you're tucked under a hospital gurney. And damn, I tell you, the evil in the whoever programmed the AI for those things, fucking I shit myself at some point.
Heartless.
I have
did.
very
Is what they are.
fond memories of this game. I haven't tried it in VR because it was actually quite long of a game, so I
It is
wasn't
long.
sure if
Yeah.
I could just do the whole thing again in VR. But I do remember this was when we were still living at I think our very first apartment, and so the back of our TV butt up against almost like our bedroom. So my husband was working night shift at the time, but all he could hear was like the ping on the from the
Wow.
motion sensors, and then all of a sudden like the heavy footsteps of the alien. So let's just say when I was playing Alien Isolation, he had a hard time sleeping during the day.
That is terrible. Oh my god. You think it's bad that Jose is getting disturbed in his sleep with little pings, FaceTime
Yeah.
notifications and that, but even worse is that sound.
Yeah.
My god.
The
Yeah,
motion
that
detector pinging.
Yeah, I
think the
tried to play
motion
the
detector
2D version,
is-
and I think I only played like an hour. I think like when they introduced like androids too, because you think the aliens are the only thing that's supposed to be the danger, and then it's more than
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, that game is horrifying. I really am glad. So what this means is we get a double dice roll. We get Rogue Incursion this year. We probably get this game next year. I know, Rowdy, you just had the post up. Did they say 2025 for this, or did they not give a date? I didn't jot
let me
down in my
check.
notes when that's coming.
I'm
Thanks.
so
Thanks.
excited for this.
I am as well. The thing is, Alien is such a strong IP. It really is.
And you can go either way. You can go horror of Alien, or you can do the kind of military campy, aliens. There's just so many different directions you can go. But nobody's done Prometheus games.
Yeah, they didn't tell us.
No, I don't think that there's a date here. No.
There's no date. So they're working on it. But I kind of wonder, like, is this a harpoon against Rogue Incursion? Are they like, oh, guys, don't worry, a real game's coming? Now, we have no promise that VR support is coming. But because Modders did the first one, Modders, we're looking to you. Convert this game so Jose can play it for us live. All right. Thank you.
It's not out yet, but do it.
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna throw a GoFundMe in there. How many times can we get Jose into a horror game?
Oh, what?
But is
Oh,
that
yeah.
ghosts? Are aliens less scary than things like ghosts and demons, or is it just all
Nah,
in the same?
they're all equal. They're all anything that causes harm is in the same bucket. I'm not prejudiced against what's trying to cause me harm. They're all,
Well, what about this, Jose? Why don't we take you to the beach? Why don't we take you down to the beach, and you can go with Rowdy and Adam and I, and we'll just take you for a quick dip in the world of Subnautica 2. So we got a teaser trailer just recently, Subnautica, which looks on the face of it like a happy game about colorful fish. Happy game about colorful fish on an alien planet. Until you dive more than 30 meters and you meet a Reaper Leviathan. And then you realize, I'm just a snack, There are so many evil things in this game. If you play it like I did on hardcore, where you die after your oxygen runs out and then they wipe your game save, it's even worse. But Subnautica 2 is cool because it's bringing 4-player co-op. Now, it's not yet clear if they're planning VR support. I would suggest, unfortunately, that they are probably not banking on doing VR support. I say this because Below Zero didn't have it, and they kind of abandoned VR at some stage in their first game, Subnautica 1. But the storyline, the breadcrumb story, which is so expertly done with radio signals and all this kind of thing. If you haven't played Subnautica, it's a cool game that you can play, even keyboard and mouse with a VR headset on, with a mod. There are some mods. I forget the name of it now, but there's a multiplayer mod for that as well, where you can get 2 people in local co-op or over the internet playing together. And so now they're bringing that. That's the most exciting part to Subnautica 2 is you get co-op. So don't worry, Jose will dive with you. It might become a game of who can swim the fastest, though. I'm just gonna
Stay
say
on
that.
the boat. Oh, I'm so happy that they're adding co-op to this. Like, actually, I did try the first Subnautica a long time ago when they had VR support, sort of, and that was the first time I ever experienced motion sickness because you're
Was
just
it?
well, because you didn't have motion controller support. You're sitting at your desk with the headset on, diving, and I was
yeah.
just like, this doesn't feel right.
That's funny
So-
because I never felt that when I was playing, but
But this was like when I first close to when I
Early.
first got my headset. Yeah, like really early. So I'm sure that they've been actual better mods now because I think this was
Yeah.
just built into Steam. They had like a VR mode where it's just like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
You could
Oh, so first off, it's super exciting. For anyone who loved
Yeah.
Subnautica, super exciting. The base building is really awesome. The way your tech tree scales, the awesome things that you can create, like to be able to share that with in the native game that as designed by the devs, great, amazing. Now, the trailer was pure CGI, so we didn't get to see what the game looks like yet. And the biggest concern I have is actually the same concern that we experienced firsthand with Stormland. So for those who don't know Stormland, and I don't have a video for this one, apologies, I didn't think to link it. Stormland was a game that was this beautiful world, and technology and nature kind of fused almost in like a Zero Dawn style way, like a Horizon Zero Dawn style way. And you were this like robot character, and you could bring a buddy along. The problem was that they were what I'll call a tag along. In other words, there was not a single mechanic that meant that you two cared about each other. Like there wasn't pass me your ammo. There wasn't let's go both push the button at the same time, thinking like Helldivers. Like there was no mechanic that stitched the two players together. So if Subnautica 2, even for just the flat development, I hope they've considered what's the role that's going to be played by each of the players in co-op. And is there any mechanism where you can help each other out? So for example, hey, I'm running out of oxygen. Can you top me up? Put a little hook in and top me up with oxygen. Just something that just kind of makes that more a bond between the players and not just we're two-player cameras floating in the abyss. So,
I mean, maybe it depends on who you play with too. 'Cause maybe each person has their natural roles. Like one likes more combat-y things, one likes more buildy type things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I know what you're talking about. Where some games where it's like, what was the point of co-op?
Right.
Why did you add this?
Well, the reason it matters in a game like Subnautica is it's very expansive, and it'd be very easy, just like in Minecraft, to be like, it's a multiplayer game where I go down this hole and you go down this hole, and we don't talk to each other for 4 hours. We come out and go, wow, that was a long game. Like that can happen.
It's not very long.
Viking Vipers.
Oh
I was
gosh,
talking about tomorrow.
the segue. Yeah, that's right. More hole exploration to come. Okay, so that's Subnautica 2. Pray for it, we hope. One thing I would say, however, is that it is a candidate for UE VR conversion. So I think the saviors of mods may bring VR support in that way so that we don't have to wait a year after the game finally drops for us to get our VR heads in it. So definitely excited about that one. Now, so far we've been talking about Alien Isolation getting a sequel, and then Subnautica getting a sequel. Well, why not bring it back to terrestrial territory here? Assetto Corsa was previously announced to be getting a sequel. So it's a keen driving simulator game. Used to be a favorite of mine. We played it for like 5-6 years as a driving club. And Assetto Corsa 2 is named Assetto Corsa Evo. So whole new build, physics, weather effects, tracks, all kinds of stuff, right? What we know from the short clip that has finally emerged of real gameplay on this famous Australian track is that there won't be any microtransactions. A bit like the Dirt Rally series, we're going to have to earn in-game currency to then purchase vehicles. Now, I don't know if you're going to have to unlock or purchase tracks, but they basically said, yep, no microtransactions in our game, and you have to buy cars a la like Gran Turismo 7. It's also believed, based on the series, that some rental mode will be enabled so that you can try any car you want, even if you don't own it, which is good because otherwise you get stuck behind that skill barrier of I'll never get the cool big car. No.
Right.
Rowdy, were you saying something?
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if it is, but like Evo is also a car share service, right? Isn't Evo
It's a what?
a car share service where you don't own the car, but you can rent it? Like you have like an app, like you rent like a bike.
Never
think
never heard of
Evo
it.
is a.
I never.
Let me look it up.
Well, Evo's a gaming tournament. I think that's the association that they want to probably make.
No, you're right, Rowdy. Evo car share.
Funny.
Yeah.
Evo
car
car
share
That's
share.
service.
funny.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh.
that's
Oh,
what
so
they're
it's
doing, I
like
guess.
a Uber. It's like an Uber, right?
No, because you'll be driving the car yourself.
Oh,
so
okay,
car
so it's-
rental personal.
Yeah,
Thing.
it's not your car, but you can like book the car and then you can drive it around.
Okay, so more like a what was that called in Europe? Feck.
In Europe, you have Cambio. In Canada, you have Modo, Evo, Komonoto, all those kind of
There's
things.
one I used to use in London. Yeah, they're great because you can be like, I want to drive a Mercedes today.
Yeah,
You tap your
Turo in the
RFID,
US.
your
Yeah.
ID card.
Although, I don't think it's like that. If you have a car, you can put your car on there. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just like the company has like 1,000 cars across the city, and you can just book one of their cars.
I see.
Zipcar is the one I was thinking of.
Zip car. Yeah.
But I think someone also said Turo.
Yeah,
So there's a
Turo.
bunch of those.
Yeah, but for those, I think
Yeah.
you can actually upload your own car. That you say like, oh,
Yeah.
you can drive with my car. Someone else can.
Oh, really? So you can like rent your car out basically, just like an
Yes,
Airbnb.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
that's
in
cool.
Miami. Yeah, Miami. That's all. That's what a lot of people do with their car investments.
That
here in
seems
Miami.
so dangerous. That seems
Yeah.
so dodgy. Like let other
Oh,
people
it
touch your
is.
car. Yeah, maybe if it's
Well,
a
I mean,
banger.
people do it
then-
with their
then
houses, so.
It's a fair
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Why is my seat sticky? Anyway, let's see. So the next thing
Striking
we're going to
Vipers.
move on to. We're just going to say striking vipers all the way through
Damn
the show. So the next thing we're going to show is from a content creator called Finpire, showing off what was a recent announcement that I picked up through, I think it was Upload or somebody. Bug Snacks has gotten a beta PCVR support,
Oh, wow.
which I'm sure if Nathan was still in the podcast, he'd be ecstatic about, because that boy is all about Bug Snacks for some reason. So Bug Snacks, what do you need? It's about a $25 US dollar game at the minute. You get it off Steam, you download that, you whip over to Properties, the Properties tab where you can enter that little text string. You type in all in one word, virtual reality, and then you go to the VR test branch. And with that, you can play in headset and you can enjoy Bug Snacks. Now, just a warning for anybody who's a hardcore PCVR master race, the engagement is a little bit flat. In other words, you're walking through your stereo environment, you enjoy the colorful world of Bug Snacks, but prompt menus in that are kind of one push button actions. They're not, you're not shaking someone's hand or any of that kind of extra level of VR immersion. But Bug Snacks is a cute kind of game. I've played it actually quite a bit with my kids. It's funny. It's a weird game in that you are picking up like bug insect food items. And then as you collect these, you go talk to the mayor or, a burnt out actress, and then you swap their body parts for fruit bugs. Very weird. Very strange. Hey, I want to give you banana legs and a strawberry on your head. And it's super kooky, very strange game.
Oh.
But it's fun. So
Yeah. Have you played this game? I was gonna say it's very Viva Pinata-y.
Okay, I was wondering. I was trying to figure out is this like Garden of the Seas, Viva Pinata, Animal Crossing? Like what?
Little bit. Yeah, I'd say Animal Crossing and Garden of the Sea both share pedigree with this. Yeah.
Okay,
Similar DNA. So I think you should give it a
Body
go.
swapping.
Yeah. The body
Understand.
swapping is bizarre. It's weird. You can swap their nose, their ears, their arms.
It's not like
What's
Striking
the
Vipers,
benefit of that?
What's the benefit of that? Rowdy. It's what is the benefit? I don't remember. Yeah, I thought it was some kind of a perk or a mod on the person, but I don't remember if it has actually any material. It's just kind of a fun. It's like a fun
Just
little
for fun. Mr. Potato Head
funsies.
bugs.
Yeah, Mr. Potato with bugs. That's a great analogy. There you go.
Oh, okay.
So that's Bug Snacks.
Nailed
In
it.
case anyone is
No,
interested.
everybody knows what it is. Mr. Potato Head with
Yeah.
bugs.
So fucking weird.
Very good.
All right, with that, I'm going to segue to other appendages now. So we're going to move over to fingers, and surface typing.
Like Vipers.
I
Holy
thank
shit,
you,
this
Adam.
episode. It's like that's what she said. The whole podcast just was saying striking vipers. So this is an advent of some research called surface typing. So with the Quest 3 research labs between Meta and another arm that sorry I forgot the name of them have proven a really cool use case where you just take any flat surface and just with the pass-through cameras detecting the positions of your fingers, because the fidelity's gotten really good, to Jose's point earlier, right? Hand tracking is great across a couple of different platforms now, including Meta's. They can max out at 70 words per minute, 40 words per minute on average, which is really honestly probably my average, and at an error rate of just under 3%. It puts it really on par with like typing into your phone. So you can actually type pretty damn quick and be accurate at the same time, which is different than like the 8% failure rate if you're doing the whole like push the buttons in the air thing on the like floating Meta keyboard, which if I don't know if anyone else likes that, but I hate that. That's only just slightly better than having your like an old school TV with the internet where you have to like, you know, have that little cursor
Internet TV.
that you move over and then you,
like
you punch in
Xbox
the
and stuff.
Yeah.
God, have I wanted to throw myself off a cliff more? I don't think so. And those internet, it's almost as bad as WAP back in the day. The
Yeah.
WAP browsers on mobiles. Anyway,
WAP means something else now. Since then, Cardi B changed that real quick.
so anyway, this is surface typing. It is called Touch Insight, and we don't know if it's coming anytime soon to Quest, but I imagine when they show this stuff off, it usually doesn't take them too long. So I would hope that within the year, we'd be able to see that interface as an option, an experimental option in our Quest headsets. So Meta, you know what to do. Drop it out in a future update, please. What are your thoughts about surface typing? Do you think this is something you'd use? Do you think it's a total gimmick? What are your thoughts?
It's possible. After using hand tracking and like I don't even lift my hand up to select things. It can see, you know, sometimes, and I like to mess with the camera sometimes, like to trick it. Like I sometimes move my hand as further as I can and I pinch and it detects it sometimes. So I can see easily a surface being able to detect the depth of the fingers hitting the surface 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this weird though? Like, is this for old people? Because the reason I ask this is the beginning of computing, right? When we're like, oh, shoot, we've just engineered these vacuum tube computers. How in the hell are we going to interface with them? And we eventually came across, oh, we'll use characters on a keyboard and then text enter. And now you've got, you know, high school kids or whatever learning touch typing. But I feel like that's a skill set that for our generation has to die. Like, does it belong in the future now? I don't know. I love it. I'd love the surface typing myself, but I want to debate that for a second.
Wow,
like, is this something that belongs?
I didn't know we were going to get into that conversation, but absolutely, it's the skill issue all over again, right? We're trying to find whatever makes most sense to legacy computer users. Just like there were people trying to say that you couldn't have a viable headset with controllers, but then hand gestures and eye input changed that conversation. The realities are, if we're going to move after, let's say, muscle control, we're going to stop tracking the muscle and just get the input directly from the vein that controls your hand. And the brain is full of veins and nerves. So I see eventually there being receptors that are going to be able to pick up that signal from a finger gesture. And you don't even have to do the finger gesture. You just think about it and the brain will wire and think of the rest. So
that's what I'm curious about, because like it feels like we're on the precipice of like, there's got to be a better option for text input. And I know, like, I've enabled this recently, and actually Meta's AI integration or even just their voice detection feature works pretty well, where you're like, I pinch over the microphone icon, just like you would if you're using a phone or a computer, and you can use, you know, speech input. It's a little bit lossy, and you have to kind of enable it. It's not very smooth, I'd say. Like, you click the button, you say the thing, you wait half a second, it figures out what you said. It's got some errors, you correct the errors. Like, it doesn't really feel that smooth right now. But I feel like, you know, keyboard input, it just feels antiquated to me. And I'm a touch typist. Like, I can go 100 words a minute. I'm pretty fast on the keyboard. And this way, I'd love it if I could do 40 or 50 words a minute in a headset, so I didn't have to. Because, like, anytime I hit a password screen, I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no. Now I have to go and do the laser pointer show, you know, figure this out. And, oh, I missed pressing the shift key. But, like, Are you guys like touch typists? Like, does speed matter to you, or are you more of a hunt and peck?
No,
I mean,
speed
I use a
know.
physical
yeah.
keyboard.
I'm a
Oh, yeah,
tactile
me
person
as
though,
well,
so like I like the idea of like, oh cool, now you don't need an extra peripheral, but I like that feedback. That's why I also like physical books over things like, e-readers, because I like that satisfaction of knowing that I am actually pressing the thing that I intend to press. I don't know, it feels more accurate to
Yeah.
me when I can feel it. But I can still appreciate the surface touch. Like I said, now if you don't want to carry an extra Bluetooth keyboard or something, you don't have to. Would
Yeah.
I like? And
That's
then
the
it's
part
for
that excites me, actually, is the Bluetooth keyboard not being a necessary accessory now
Yeah.
in the world that Jose just painted for us about. You got the headset, and you don't need to bring a keyboard.
And I wanted to add one small thing that I keep thinking about, the word haptics, right? You mentioned the feedback. We forget that our fingers, like you are connecting two fingers, and that's something that I almost kind of like subconsciously forget. There is feedback, so you do feel that you're grasping onto something. It's a different type form of, I guess, feedback loop. And also with the softer the touch surface too, you're going to be tapping onto the desk, so you're almost going to be knowing that you're typing something. So there's going to be,
Yeah.
it's different. There's going to be it's just different feedback loops. It's just not the ones that were, I guess
It's still
a weird
different, like-
comparison would be the gas cars versus electric cars, where you don't feel the rumble of the car. So electric vehicles now simulate the gas car sound, but it's not a real. I feel like eventually maybe what I'm trying to say is maybe they could trick your brain into the clicky clacky,
Like a
because
vegetarian burger, man.
Yeah.
Whenever they do that stuff.
veggie burgers are good.
But that's it. And so what we've been trying to
Yeah.
do is, like, you get all these virtual floating ass keyboards, which I've not been a fan of almost any of them. Where, like, it gives you that like depression, like it's actuating as you depress it. But again, if you don't feel anything in the air, it kind of sucks. Like Adam, I think the feedback is important. So I imagine that typing on a flat surface is enough for me, as long as it understands like where my fingers are placed on the home keys. Or I just don't know how good that part of it is, because people are different in terms of how they hover their hands over a keyboard and whether or not
Finger
you like your
size?
fingers resting,
Fat
finger
fingers?
size.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
it's
maybe rings, tracking rings. Like there's going to be, that's the cool part about virtual reality, is that there's all of these features can be decentralized to different hardware components. It could be literally a necklace that could give you feedback. There could be
yeah.
rings that may give you dexterity feedback.
The
If
problem-
we really, there's
The
Yeah.
problem with a
What?
keyboard though is that it's not just like we can give feedback, like like you said, like if you tap on a table, that is technically feedback. But the like what makes a good keyboard is tactile resistance. So it's the resistance of the
Yeah.
key, and that is, I think, it is something that is very hard to emulate on
Yeah.
like a flat surface
Yeah.
with no buttons.
Oh, man.
Maybe
Just
one
wish
of
you
these
carry
days.
like a non-attached keyboard, but then what's the point of having no keyboard? I mean, if you just have the physical
Yeah.
representation, you might as well use it.
So what if we had like this big giant like input on the back of our spine brain, like we just connect deep into it? You know what I'm saying? But
I could learn kung fu. So then
Yeah.
I could play striking vipers.
now gotta hang out at the lobby with the homies,
That's right. Well, and speaking of feeling, here's another piece of hardware that isn't brand new, but there's a new revision out. Woojer, many of you know. So we've got like Subpack and B Haptics. There's all these different companies that want to make you feel something. And Woojer have a new vest and puck assembly branded along with Meta. So if you haven't tried out these haptic vests before, some of them run by kind of Sonics. Some of them have a specific API like B Haptics that like hooks into the interface. But if you haven't tried one of these and you're newish to VR, or you just haven't splashed the cash yet, they can really amplify your experience. I particularly like them for, music environments, loud action games, horror. So you really feel the thump or the clunk or the hand reaching out and touching you on the shoulder. Definitely makes you feel a little special. So that's Woojer's vest. Do any of you have you all tried Woojer? I don't know. It's a bit of a different. It's more of an open. It's more of an open vest, I would say, in
Yeah.
comparison to the 300 movie style, like abs that Bhaptics gives you, or the turtle shell backpack that is Subpack.
I tried it MetaConnect. It felt basier than I don't know if that's a good description. Maybe I feel like it did feel basier than the Bhaptics, which I have the 32 or whatever, the one that has the most motors.
Yep.
I kind of like it's stupid, but I like the looks of the Bhaptics better, even though I'm not looking at myself while I'm wearing it. But I can't appreciate as a sweaty person like just the more open airedness nature of the vest. So I don't know. But Bhaptics does have a lot of SDK compatibility, which I think wins me over a little bit more. I want that custom haptics for those gunshots. I don't want to have a full body massage on the front and back.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Like playing Breachers with just like a Subpack, which is just audio line, versus Bhaptics with the interface. Like if you get the punchy, precise haptic feedback, it feels like the information is less messy. For an experience that's it doesn't care about detail, like again, music or action, I feel like I actually want the thump more. Like so Woojer's in a kind of a funny middle ground for me, and I don't know. We'll see. I might try him out. I haven't had a chance, but that thud, that thump, like that's definitely what I'm looking for in a large transducer. And so even they even got a really interesting inexpensive version of this, which is literally just one transducer, like a puck that you wear on your body, like a sling bag, and then it dumps away. So like for me, I would love to wear that because I've often thought about like, oh, if I've got hours to kill in an airport or something, I want to walk around, but you can't really take a haptic vest into an airport without them thinking that you're trying to take a plane down. So like, I've never tried that. I'm not going to try that, but like, I'd be happy with taking a puck.
I just imagine opening up your vest is just vibrating.
There's one game I would really like to try with a tactile feedback vest. That is Striking Vipers.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Full body suit for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. All right. Well, next up, talking about funny crossovers. Whoever saw this one coming, let's talk about what I refer to as the Meta Pimax. Upload covered an interesting photo that Boz had shared, CTO of Meta, sharing an ultra-wide field of view headset, which really goes even beyond the width of the Hammerhead-style Pimax headset. This is one wide-ass curved display and looks completely wild. So there were a few other things shown from Reality Labs, but this one was, I think, the cornerstone of the photos that were shared. What do you all think about this? Are you guys looking forward to like a proper wide-ass field of view in your VR experiences?
Stupid in that, like with the current field of views that we have, it seems okay. I can tell when they're small, but with what's out now, it seems fine to me. I'm sure. I mean, I won't say no. I don't want a wider field of view because that's nice, but I don't feel like it's as big of a deal.
It's not
currently.
All right, so
I'm
gonna
I knew Rowdy was gonna.
Just for the fact that even though I've always been very critical of Pimax because I think that they focus on the wrong things, but I think peripheral vision in a virtual reality headset can be extremely powerful. And I think that if, again, like for us to make virtual reality make as real as it is that we experience real life, I do think that is a crucial component. But it's not beaten by things like, for example, refresh rate, resolution.
Right.
Like I think those things are still far more important. And interfocal distance, you have all these different things. But having peripheral vision, I think is something that we need in order to get to a virtual reality experience that is near indistinguishable.
You're right, but I think that's where we get in, and that's why I try to always stay away from technical conversations, because you're correct. But field of view should also be tackled as close as the human eye can access that field of view. And I think that's what's happening is when you look at Boz's headset, it goes beyond the line of sight that the human eye can see. Like if I move my hand like right here, this is the limit. I don't need a headset to wrap all the way over here when I know that I don't even have the human capability of even viewing that. I feel
it's not a duck. Ducks
exactly.
have a great VR experience.
Yeah,
Sorry, dear.
that's exactly the point. It's like, should we make headsets for humans or we design them for ducks?
But they
Right.
Maybe
I mean, this is clearly like the thing for me when I see this is, aren't the optics, aren't the limits? I mean, you talked about kind of almost is physics now a question to some extent earlier, Jose. And so, Rowdy, my question to you about this is lenses, as in the lens that you have your eye against versus the wrap of the screen and the fill, let's say that maybe that would offer us to give you a wider field of view or a perceived wider field of view like a Pimax was doing. Isn't the glass still the limiting factor in the design? Is my question.
I mean, I don't
That's
know.
what I understood. It wasn't the panel. I thought it was like the
So you're
lens
talking about the
design in terms of
distance between your eye and the lens?
more the engineering of the lens and how it's bending light to reach your eye in such a way to then what Jose's saying, so that you feel like you're seeing out to the extent of your field of vision. And I think so we can say this today, I'd say factually, as we haven't filled out our peripheral vision yet. And so what I hear Rowdy saying is not we need VR for ducks, but we do need to have VR that surpasses our ability to detect, to discern that we're not.
Although I do
there,
think we're
so the
underestimating
presence is
the
improved.
field of view of the human eye a little bit. Like the field of view of the human eye is, I think, around 200 degrees, which is quite large. The
Is it?
actual field of view.
But do you consume content
Both
at
eyes.
200 degrees? That's the difference.
No,
Do you
no, so-
focus
okay,
on
so
an
of-
item at 200
A
degrees?
focal point of view is a pinpoint. It is very small, so it's only a pinpoint. But peripheral, like you can pay attention to something in your peripheral vision. If I hold up two fingers and I'm currently holding up two, I don't know if you can see the screen, but I'm holding up two fingers, but I'm looking at you. I can see.
The Brits are loving you right now, by the way.
I can derive my attention from that focal point of view, which I'm holding attention to, or where I'm putting my focal attention to derive that to something that is outside of my focal point of view.
or dude's walking behind you, and you're
Yeah,
like,
someone is
kinda
like
hyper-focused
exactly, and that
on-
comes from an evolutionary standpoint. But we can go quite far with, like, if I'm
Fully
holding
agree.
my hands out and I'm holding and I'm moving my hands, I can still see that there's something moving there. So there is definitely value in your peripheral vision.
No, I'm with you, but do you see what the point about getting technical versus use case? We're talking about virtual reality. We're talking about consumption of media, experiencing virtual scenarios, not necessarily, I guess, operating in a 3D space for everyday
But
living
that's the
and
difference.
survival.
So
Uh,
what I'm
which is-
envisioning here is trying to get as close as possible to a human
Fully agree.
life, real life
Correct.
experience. Then we need peripheral vision up to 200
Yeah.
degrees.
that I'm
basically.
with you. That
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So-
And the reason I'm constantly arguing about this is media consumption. For example, like, and I know it sounds as a very low hanging fruit, but when I have like a virtual screen, I have it opened up, let's say to about 200 inches off that I can see. I end up minimizing the screen enough that my eyes can actually consume that media. There's a lot of pixels around the screen that I'm not using that I definitely don't think that normal consumers are going to be tackling. People who have virtual screens or applications are going to be tackling. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that there's also a swivel of the head that we have to account for. I truly agree that it would be awesome to like have a virtual screen as big as our eyes can physically, map out. But
I experienced
Isn't
this
it-
last night.
yeah,
So what you're talking about, I'll call it the IMAX effect, where like you're in the seat and the screen's too big, and you're like, oh god, there's more than I need. So you do bring it down. It's the same idea of if you're prioritizing the size of your television and the distance from your couch. Like there's a happy medium there, but again, I would argue more on Rowdy's side here to say what we're trying to talk about here is the full experience. Like in other words, I want to place a virtual monitor when I'm watching a movie in VR, for example, but I want to feel like if I'm doing that, let's say, and I'm on the Himalayas, that I don't have a black bar on the side that tells me I'm not in the Himalayas. So how do we reach that part? And it feels to me like the barrier is very similar to what Apple used to push with retina level resolution on a phone. Like I think we're at the point now where you're well past being able to tell pixel density on a phone in any modern device, and we're approaching that limit in headsets. And now it's getting to the point where even mixed reality experiences and pass-through stuff can get to that point, or we're getting closer to that. So like, there's two characteristics I think that the Rowdy you called out that I think are super important in terms of advancing. The first one, I agree with you 100%. The frame rate, right? Like getting that as high as possible is important. And then the 200-degree field of view, which surprises me as a number, but you're right. That's probably second up. That's probably second up for me.
Yeah, and the thing is, it is like, in order to achieve these kind of experiences, it is great to like push that boundary for. I'm not saying that is like the next best thing that we need to start doing already, because there's a lot of stuff that I think we can still improve in virtual reality headsets. But indeed, if we want to approach those like experiences as close as possible as like the human eye perceives them, then getting peripheral vision in there is important. And I'm even thinking that once you've tried a headset like that, where you have, like the Pimax did, like, you have that very wide field of view, but then, it's equally as comfortable, the refresh rate is very high, the resolution is very high, all that stuff, you're going to be like, wow, this is a huge improvement. You're going to be surprised by that.
Yeah.
Having
improvement, but that's the problem. It's improvement
view
versus real use. And that's the issue I have, because I've used Pimaxes, I've used ultra wide field of view displays, I've used immersive, projector walls that like make it look like you're in a virtual space, in a real space. But the problem is, it's always the actual use practicality.
When you're using a use case.
Virtual reality, at the end of the day, it's a heads up display.
Right. I'll give you a use case. Like, for example, do we need 1,000 hertz screen? Currently,
I wouldn't say 1,000 hertz, but we should have one that's close to that frame rate that the eye processes.
Rowdy, your Rowdy science on refresh rate from a few years ago is telling me to say yes, we do, but I personally would say no. It's funny.
Exactly. It should be as close. No, he's right. But that's where we're getting into the conversation of tricking the eye into believing something is real versus how humans are going to actually adopt and bring these technologies into practical use cases. I do agree that field of view is incredibly important, but there's going to be displays where the X-Reel is a really good example of that, where your eyes are going to focus on that display, whether you move your head or not. You're still going to get the physical peripheral awareness of the world around you, and your brain is going to say, hey, anything that starts at this edge right here is going to be augmented.
The X-Reel Air 2 is a great point to bring up because it's here, you can get it, it's got deep blacks, it's got the OLED screen. When I first pulled it out, I was like, oh, the field of view is limited compared to VR. And then I used it for 8 hours straight editing a video, and I was like, wow, this is really helpful. So I see where you're coming from. But Rowdy, what rabbit hole are you going down? So you asked that question about 1,000 hertz. Exactly. Where are we going with this?
The use case here is to make it indistinguishable from reality. Your eyes don't have a limit on the refresh rate. I don't know if you remember that from that conversation we had. Your eyes will be able, if you were being shown like 1,000 hertz screen and you'll be shown a 200 hertz screen, even though like, you have the law of diminishing returns, your eyes will be able to tell you the difference. That's just how they work, because in real life, we don't have refresh rates, at least if we're not living in a matrix. But like, you understand what I mean? Like there is no limit to refresh rate, and the closer that we get to an unlimited refresh rate, the closer that we are to experiencing things as if they are real. And there are other things that are far more important still, like for example, the source of light. So we talked about before, there's varifocal lenses, or Meta showed that they were working on that, where they were showing like different LCD screens that were maybe positions and they turned on and off. There's very exciting technology, which I think is far more important than getting to a 1,000 hertz or 10,000 hertz screen. But for us to be able to achieve real experience that is indistinguishable from reality, we need peripheral vision. We need.
So I got a question for you, Dr. Rowdy. So I got a question because I'm a little bit baffled. There's clearly a cinematic limit, or maybe it's just a learned limit, around about like 24 frames a second for modern cinema. More than that feels weird to watch. It just doesn't look natural or something.
Yeah.
Why do you know like why is it that we can stomach 120 hertz on our phone screen or our television, 144 in a VR headset? Like, why? Yeah, why is cinema the exception to that rule? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, no, that's a very, because I looked into that like a while. I mean, I'm probably not entirely correct to that, but a large part of that is that our brains have been trained on watching movies into that specific frame rate, and
So it's
that is a good
learned.
thing. It's a learned
Huh.
thing,
Okay.
yeah, because of that's how we've done cinema for so long, and you get those cinematic effects and like like that kind of like thing that the entire industry is built around is that that specific frame rate. And that just makes it far more comfortable. There are movies that you can watch in 60
Weird.
hertz and 120 hertz and these kind of
Sure.
things. For gaming, it's different because it's often related also to reaction speed. So like if you have a higher refresh rate, you have a better reaction speed to specific events. So there is an advantage to having higher refresh rates.
I like how
But yeah,
we've teased out a Rowdy science episode out of this one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've hit a
Do you
vein.
think so back to what you're saying is, do you think that somebody can make something? So do you believe that an ultra realistic, eye tricking um display can be made without field of view being tackled first, where your brain thinks that you don't even see where the augmented begins, is what I'm trying to get at.
well, as long as you have
So
Right,
you're
because
saying,
black bars.
yeah, because we're talking about, let's talk about glasses form factor, like the Orion, like those are going to have a very limited field of view
field of view.
because of what they are. Do you think that society and humans will eventually, like you just mentioned, adapt themselves to say, hey, this is going to be the limitation of field of view for augmenting the real world, and this is as close as you can get to real life, I guess.
I can't imagine.
Simulating, yes. Like you have the famous things about like the movie theater that first shows the train like heading towards the direction and people ran like screaming out, but that is an anecdotal kind of thing that is not something that is going to keep on happening. I think it's very easy for us to be able to distinguish virtual reality right now from reality. What makes
Yeah,
it
exactly.
indistinguishable
Exactly.
would be if there is literally no distinction. If it simulates it, and just having a high refresh rate and peripheral vision is not going to fix that. Like I said, like you're gonna have to need various sources of light that simulate that kind of distance, and there's very interesting technology that is doing that. But
I'm so
but yeah.
fascinated by this.
Yeah, this is a great
I
discussion.
have
We've
one
got
last question, and
Go
I'm sorry
ahead.
for Kluge. Rowdy, have you used an Apple Vision Pro? Because like I'm almost like compelled to send you mine because I feel like I was on your boat for
Yeah.
as long as but the Apple Vision Pro, like the OLED displays and the fact that I've tried, I've tried to see the pixels as close as I can, and that's exactly what happens is I have tricked my brain to think I'm in the beach.
Oh,
And
no,
like,
no.
it has
I'm
happened.
not,
It happens.
again, I'm not saying that
That's
that's.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the experience is not there. It's a simulated experience
Yeah.
that is very closely there. But if I'm asking you while you're in the headset and I ask you, can you now distinguish? It's basically an A/B test that you do, right? You have
Yeah.
one is with the simulated kind of thing,
Yeah.
and you have the borders, and the other one is the full peripheral 1,000 hertz. Are you going to be able to distinguish those experiences? Yes, I do think you will be.
I fully agree. But what happens if you take a half a second to think about that answer? That's where I'm at. I'm with you, and that's exactly what I meant. The Apple Vision Pro has made it all worthwhile because if you asked me after using this headset for 8 hours, that question, obviously, I'm going to say no, I'm in VR, but there will be a second where I will think to myself and I will actually assess, because there are moments, like I'm telling you, like when you have your hand occluded in the virtual space and the lighting of the virtual world is lighting your hands, where it's your
Yeah.
real hands, you see your hairs, but it's being lighted differently. There are moments where and that's exactly what I'm trying. That's the
Okay,
point.
I
Yeah.
hear.
I agree
To
with it.
paraphrase what Jose is saying, I would just
Mhm.
say, if it's good enough that you have to second guess, even for a second,
Yeah.
whether you're in VR or not,
Right.
or MR, isn't it good enough?
Right.
That's what I'm hearing.
What I'm
Jose say.
saying then, is it worth stopping at that point?
Oh, and hands
Or
on.
can
Yeah, I
we
agree
make
with
it
you there.
better?
Yeah.
So if
I'm
if,
with
if,
you.
if if you would have to choose between the Apple Vision Pro now or the Apple Vision Pro version 37, where they have, the full like is literally like a helmet or like I don't know whatever it is that they do. What I'm saying is there's going to be a
pretty deep.
Yeah.
there's
No, I
there's
agree.
going to be
I'm
a
with you.
significant difference, I would say, between those two approaches.
Yeah.
Just of the
Yeah.
optics, the way that it's simulated. So yeah,
I guess the only point is I'm trying to get is like we're a lot closer to that than we often think we are, and that's
I think
I'm with you.
no. So Jose, haven't tried Apple Vision Pro, enjoying my Quest 3 and its pass through and all that, and I actually think we're there. I think we're at the point now where I'm happy with my tech already. You know, and that's a great. It's like such a big smile to my face. I am really curious though, before we move off of this topic of field of view and all that. Adam, you've been sitting patiently and quietly. What is your take on all of this, please?
I was just thinking, I don't know if any of you guys would know this because it's not like we're lens, glasses, tech scientists or anything. Is there currently being worked on or a point where we don't have to make such a wide, like, can you do something like a trickery or an angle of the lens itself where you don't have to have the big ass hammerhead to get that wideness? I mean, I don't know enough about how these things are made or to know if maybe they're currently being worked on now. I don't know.
That's what I let in with, which is lens optics and waveguides and panel display technology, and even the technical limitations of, say, manufacturing a pancake lens, having to bounce the light back and forth, and the amount of energy lost in that process, and then what you have to do in the panel tech. That whole stack is the problem. It's the problem since Palmer was in his basement tooling around. Like, this problem has been there since the 60s or earlier. Like what Jose was saying, this technology, kind of like battery technology, doesn't move fast. And so it's actually why companies like Meta dump so much money into R&D, because like breaking those barriers is bloody difficult. And I guess the question then is, how much more do we need before we're happy? I mean, being techies, I'd say, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Still.
Like Rowdy, you mentioned version 37. I think it's going to probably be like version 7. Like I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just saying a random number. I have no insight on what Apple is actually doing.
And I'm gonna totally call out Arlen, who says, "Not that anyone asked, but I'm watching this on my Quest 3 in mixed reality while I'm cleaning my house." Hell yes!
Awesome.
Yes.
Open 2 more tabs and watch us at 5 frames per second. I'm just kidding. I love meta headsets. I'm just kidding.
You are such an ass. All right. Speaking of tearing stuff apart and making them work better, let's throw up a tweet from Robert Aldridge, who liked what Meta did for the Quest 3, but then picked up his Quest 3S and was like, well, I want the open-sided facial interface as well. And so, in doing that, picked up I'll call it the Sweaty Betty facial interface, which is a highly porous, very light fabric frame, and then took scissors out and chopped this the feck up until it was open-sided. Very smart, very smart. So it's just the frame, and Rowdy's going to show us what that looks like. So this is the disassembly of the gray frame from Meta. Now, at the moment, unfortunately, there's a Quest 3 version, which is like an open-sided frame, which if you use the Quest Pro and you're like, oh, it's so nice to see around my headset and then be looking forward, but still, whatever, grab something, look through real life optics. That's why I think Robert went and modded his headset. This is, aside from looking a little rough around the edges, it's a pretty cool mod. I'm tempted to do it with mine.
Same. That looks cool.
Yeah.
I feel about this. I mean, I kind of like, well, maybe for mixed reality stuff, I haven't tried like this kind of a thing yet. But even with the mesh accessory, I was like, there's too much light being let in. But this is just like all light. I mean, So personally, I don't know, I'm not a fan. But again, only when it comes to VR. I've not tried it when it comes to mixed reality. I might actually really like it there.
It's really so that kind of experience, at least in Quest Pro, and then again, things like what you were just saying with the X-Real Air 2s, it's like it's not too bad having. I thought it would be really jarring to say like, oh, my content is here, and then real world is out here. I thought that would not feel good. I also wasn't convinced that like mixed reality was going to be so good. Once we got full color pass through, man, that's how I use my headset like 9 times out of 10 now. Is I don't have a virtual environment anymore. I want to see my room. I want to see my space. I want to be sensorily aware of what's going on around me while I enjoy the content. So I think that's where this comes from. It's like it's that extra sensory step of like I've got more awareness. It's an awareness hack more than anything.
Also, it feels much more stable, I'm assuming, because it's actually against your head. I have seen like the other head straps that allow you to remove it, and I always feel like they're either too flimsy or they're over-engineered to hold that headset up over you. So I feel like this is I've never been a fan of custom head straps, to be honest. They're cloth based. If they have more plastic, I'm not a fan of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with what's called the jiggle. All right, and we're not talking striking vipers right now, but the jiggle effect of any headset that's suspended out in front of you like this, and then kind of rocks. It just like it's another one of those things that if it's not in contact with your person and not kind of mounted to you somehow, it just doesn't feel right. Like PlayStation managed to avoid the jiggle by hanging it off the front and like gluing it to your forehead, basically. So it's close enough that that's not really a discernible wiggle. But like there are certain things like the Bobo M3 head strap, which was out when Quest 3 first launched. It was wobbling all over the feckin' place. So wasn't a fan of that. But now, just like the standard head strap system works great. So, okay, so that's Robert's torn job. I always feel bad though when you see a new product and someone goes ripping it into pieces. You're like, oh god. Okay. Speaking about ripping it, let's move on to one of the most questionable pieces of today's cast. This is coming from, I'm going to say big thanks to Sam Watts, who races with us in GT7, dropped it in our racing chat, and I went, oh my lord, what is this? It's from Scottish Water and a Facebook post. Well, it's a VR experience about your loo and your poo. And we're going to go on a journey, a magical journey, like the magical school bus. This is entitled, Honey, I Blocked the Loo. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know what a loo is, it's a toilet. All right, just in case you're not worldly or whatever. So, Rowdy, go on, click on this man's face. Let's go for the journey. He's going to take us. It's a 360 video that's available on YouTube. As I said, this post was originally on Facebook, and we're going to go down the tubes. And Rowdy, as usual, please narrate for us as we go on this journey.
Oh my days.
It's about
All right, here we go.
And you can drag around with the mouse if you need to.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh god.
I'll let him. Yeah, this is
all right.
Close. Oh no.
Oh, this is awesome.
I love it that I get like things of like food on the side as well. What is on the other side?
Did you full screen that or no?
Maybe and you said that people weren't making VR things or making us
I didn't know it was a YouTube video that was gonna pop up.
Yeah, sorry. It's not so obvious what's gonna happen. I was like, what's this all about? But one of the most bizarre VR use cases, I mean, we've heard of VR used in water parks. You throw on a VR headset, you go down the tubes, pray to God you don't drown on the way. I think that's a terrible combination. Bad idea. But this might just be worse. Take your Gear VR or whatever aging 3DOF headset and strap yourself to a Scottish toilet. Here we go. We're going for a ride.
I'm watching this just from our small preview. Is this 3D create? Like it's not like someone took a GoPro or
it doesn't look real,
there, right?
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
no.
Unfortunately.
Well, if you wanted the water slide experience, like
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see real drainage.
All right, guys, gotta hold your breath now.
This is why you don't need smell haptics.
Oh, Adam, you dropped your toothbrush.
I love this stuff. I can't wait till you can buy little tiny robots you can control.
Oh god, there's sanitary pads.
What would be satisfying though? It's kind of like when you watch those ear cleaning videos.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta see the clog being cleared now. What is this? the reverse of what I wanted.
So yes,
That was
thanks
not
to,
deep enough.
thanks to Scottish Water for that. The thing though that you're saying, Jose, about wanting to go down the actual pipes, my wife and I once we streamed this. This was amazing. We took our phones and we used to drop things behind the big hard radiators in our Scottish home, and they'd fall back behind, like there was like a lip and the radiator, and things could fall in here, right? And previous owners' stuff was in there. So we took our cameras and like you'd slide the camera
Awesome.
over, and then you'd have a little like long, like slender, grippy thing, and you'd be basically, it was like a game. You were like fishing for
Gold digging.
coins and old toys and dust
Ah.
pieces. It was amazing. It was like some of the most entertainment we'd had in months. And I still wish that someone would put that in a VR experience. This is obviously the closest where you can go fishing for wipes and poo or whatever and sanitary things, sanitary napkins. But that can be really satisfying. So kind of like a power wash simulator, we need to find the behind the radiator pick 'em up
Find the
game.
penny.
Is there any like 360 drain snakes? You know, like is that?
That would be cool.
Because then
Of
there
course,
you go.
Then people would just be putting them up themselves, I'm sure.
Oh,
That's what would happen. You know, people
Maybe
get
they do
invented.
exist now that you mentioned that. Because yeah, I could
FReality
feel like-
Premium.
after dark. FReality after dark.
Yeah, I'm gonna say not it. All right. You can explore one of the other guest members. All right. So with this, another thing I wanted to share. This is such a weird cross section of things that we have to share with you today. All right. Shiny rocks, i.e., the currency in Gorilla Tag, is now on sale in stores. Literally. Brick and mortar shops, like an iTunes card, you can buy Gorilla Tag shiny rocks. The reason I want to say this, Lemming and team. Sorry, I forget the name of the dev team. Hey, feckin' A. Yeah, like celebrate. Indie devs are killing it. Continue to kill it.
That's crazy.
That's
It's
big kill.
amazing. Isn't that amazing? Like
Yeah.
to see that in a store, like this is in a Walmart or somewhere.
Best Buy. Yeah, I saw them myself also at Best Buy here. It's
Too bad it couldn't be
Meta,
actually.
and they actually have quite a bit. It's not just Gorilla Tag. Like Meta actually has like
A
their
lot.
own little like lane of cards. For all the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but VR is winning. VR is
Yes.
winning. We're definitely winning. Like it's taken over. And the second that things get slightly bit lighter, slightly bit more comfortable, man, we're there. We are so there. It is there. Speaking of that, another shout out to an oldie, Augmented Empire, which I couldn't believe because this is like Oculus Go and Gear VR, Samsung Gear VR days. Augmented Empire, which was a fantastic little turn-based, I don't know how I would call it. It kind of feels like what's the best? XCOM, kind of like an XCOM style game. Like it's a strategy game, right? I've been playing through this for years. It's great. Every time I take a plane ride and I still bring my Oculus Go, this is my go-to game. It is really great. Augmented Empire is coming November 21st, again, to MetaQuest headsets. And now they're bringing it to mixed reality. So you can drop it on a table in front of you, your coffee table, and you've got this little, again, diorama mode. And it is really cool. It's basically about a princess on top of this like techie island in the future. She slides down the sewer system. You can see the segue there with the whole pipes and stuff, right? Comes out at the bottom and then has to work her way up to kind of, I think she's taking on her dad, or I can't remember the complete story, but it's really cool. And the strategy is great. And the combat system is cool. Look out for Augmented Empire. There you go.
Interesting. I'm not a big like strategy game person, but I do like the XCOM style type of stuff. So
That's
that
awesome.
seems cool. Is it probably most of them are single player, but I'm guessing single player.
This is single player. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good question because I really feel like if they do sufficiently well with this re-release, they should put that money into creating maybe a sequel that had multiplayer. Because in MR, just like in Demio, I've been playing that this week with my family using, I know the terminology isn't spatial anchors, it's cloud point data. So like, you know, the headsets are mapped over everybody and you see the same board and you reach in and you pick up the pieces. We're just missing hand occlusion. So you can see your real world hand reach in to the digital board. Like that would be cool. But it just feels like it's so magical and we're just right there now. And it's great. So I love that idea, Adam, of being able to play Augmented Empire or similar style games, again, on your table in front of you, but play with others. That would be sweet. everyone taking on a different role, for example, in that game. Okay, 2 more games for you before we flip it to some of our main topics now for today. The next one, because it's spooky season, many of you for years have been enjoying the dreaded landscape of horrible houses, jails, schoolyards in Phasmophobia. I think, Adam, you're a Phas fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I haven't played in a while, but I do have a significant amount of hours in Phasmophobia.
So, for those of you who just, enjoyed their time so much playing Madison in a OLED display, or have been appreciating the wonderful I'm not gonna say it. The wonderful curves of Resident Evil in that lovely OLED. Then now you have Phasmophobia. Go into the dark, flicker the candles, take out your, I don't know. There's so many different devices in Phasmophobia. I can't even mention them. There's so many trinkets and gadgets and gizmos. I feel like Scooby-Doo. But man, that game can be proper terrifying. It's great when someone dies and you don't know what happened. I remember going in particular with Mike and Nathan at one point and literally saw Mike's body float up and then split in, like break in half in front of us. And then
Mike's
there were just so many screens. Oh, the squeals. The squeals were great. So I haven't been in Phasmophobia in a couple of years myself. I look forward to jumping into this in an OLED display. That sounds great.
Is it going to be cross-play compatible, like a PC VR with PSVR 2?
That is an excellent question. That is an excellent question. I would assume so, but maybe that's a broken assumption. I did not write that down in my notes.
That's fine.
Anyone in chat knows, shout us out. Let us know. It's Phasmophobia for PSVR 2 cross-platform. Okay. Well, with that, we'll swap to the next one. So this one is one that originally launched as like a Quest exclusive. And it was pretty lo-fi, but the gameplay was solid. And that was Mud Runner VR, where you take on big-ass trucks in sloppy-ass mud. And you've got, like, if you know the scene in Jurassic Park where the guy's trying to escape with all the samples and the little, like, shaving cream thing, and then he takes the winch and he goes to the tree and ties it up, you could do that in this game, and it feels amazing. So you go to a local tree, you tie the winch around, and then you press the button and the thing pulls itself out of the mud, and you undo it, and then the raptors grab you and you die, and that's the end of the film. But you can do this in VR now. It's really cool. They've got rain effects. They've got nasty mud. You're climbing up really steep inclines, kind of like Dirt Rally 2, where even just it's a little bit breathtaking when you're in a vehicle and you're thundering up and you're like, oh God, this Jeep is going to roll backwards or flip or something. So really, really great. If you did enjoy the era of VR where we had Euro Truck and games like that, where you're in the cockpit in the cabin and you're looking for a slower paced driving game that's a little bit more on the methodical side, but really feels quite real in terms of like the mud and slip mechanics for the tires, check out Mud Runner. It's coming to PC VR very soon.
Nice.
That's in November. Cool. So that's Mud Runner. Very excited for that one. I do want to play more, and the visual upgrade it looks great. Okay, so let's move into case in point. Last time, Adam and I both had to be very hush-hush about this and say nothing, but we had Quest 3s in our hands, I believe, for both of us, but last time. So now we can kind of openly talk about them. So figured we'd do a little bit of a recap of how's it been. How was your playtime with it? What do you think about it? Are you still using it? All that kind of stuff. Adam, I saw you posted a buyer's guide, kind of a 5-minute guide on her channel. So go check that out if you're thinking maybe I should buy a Quest 3S. But Adam, let's go to you first. What are your thoughts about Quest 3S and how'd you poke it and prod it while you had it?
I gave it a shot with a couple different VR and MR experiences, and it's just I feel sad to say that there's not much to say. It don't get me wrong, it is a good headset, and I think, put simply, if you have a Quest 2 and you want to upgrade, but you don't want to spend, the Quest 3 money. I forget how much it is now. It's
$500
sale or maybe something. It's fine. Quest 3S is going to be great, especially if you do want to start getting into mixed reality games, because that color pass-through is the huge difference compared to the real shit black and white. But what's weird, sort of a side tangent, I noticed that the pass-through on the 3S looks brighter than the 3. Like, because I had both looking at my room, and when I would go, from side to side, not that it's a huge deal, but I was like, that's just an interesting thing that I wanted to know.
You know why? So again, we talked about folding light, pancake lenses. You got to bounce
Yeah.
light back like that. And so a Fresnel lens, generally speaking, is far easier to bring the panel brightness through to your eyes.
Yeah.
It's also another reason why the 3 in particular burns battery faster than 3S. So 3S, I mean 3S, I found my battery life was around about the same time. My aging, I call it my aging 1-year-old. 3 is not getting as much time as the 3S is, but I do attribute that to a few things. Obviously, it's the same chip in both, but I suspect that the display tech is what's holding back the 3 in that space. Like you said, it's like the most technically boring, almost unexcitable announcement, because you're like, it's definitely better than Quest 2. If you got a Quest 2, it's a no-brainer to go buy this thing and get the color pass through and kind of enjoy that stuff. If you're a Quest 3 owner, it's like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Just don't. It's not worth it for the action button, right? Just do the old, and I'll say this again because some people still don't know this, is that there's a configurable option in Quests where you can double tap, give it a little smack on the side there, and it'll swap between mixed reality and VR.
I will mention that I didn't realize until after my video or realize what this meant, but there's no proximity sensor on the Quest 3S. So it doesn't go to... So that actually, it's a very specific use case, but for people who use Live, things that need calibration, you might be familiar with, once you calibrate your, the controllers or what headset in your hands, put the headset down, go to sleep, fucks up the calibration more than likely. So this is actually kind of nice for that. So if you are using, PC VR for things like calibrating avatars and mixed reality, it's actually quite nice that it doesn't have the proximity sensor, which I don't know why we need those anymore, really.
So, so the proximity sensor that prevents it kind of going to black, whatever. It's a battery trick, really. Is the main thing. You don't want to be running the headset when it's sitting on there for 10 minutes and the user comes back and goes, why is my headset down? Sorry, I just took a gulp of water. It went down the wrong way. So
I was wondering what happened. I don't want to.
When you're like, don't choke to death live on the podcast. That would be very bad right now. That happened to me. So now I sound like Rowdy.
I do want to mention though something that I noticed a lot on all the coverage regarding the Quest 3S and that was one of them, Adam. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
I know where you're going.
The upgraded IR illuminator on the Quest 3S that allows hand tracking and the depths and the camera sensors to see clearer in dark environments. That paired with the lackable proximity sensor, it is the best, even better than the Vision Pro. It's the best travel headset in the market available now. Because a lot of people think about how great it is to use these headsets on airplanes. I don't know if anybody's been on an airplane recently, but if you travel either at the break of dawn or at night, they turn off the lights. Once the lights go off, your headset is useless. But with the IR emitter and the lack of the proximity sensor, you can lock now the headset into that orientation. You're going to have the best VR viewing experience, probably.
I agree with you, but quick correction there, because you can throw your headset into I don't think it's the one and the same as travel mode, but the three DOF mode where it doesn't need to do the tracking. Yeah. So obviously that limits what you can experience and enjoy. I got to say a few things because Rowdy's just showing the unboxing. The unboxing experience, I don't know if Adam felt the same way because we both unboxed this headset. The way it falls apart like the leaves of a flower, in the same way that they did with the Meta Ray-Bans, where the box itself kind of disintegrates in front of you, and it leaves you with your product glaring back at you like, pick me up, love me. Oh my God, that is like, it's cardboard design, but I've seen Meta just keep iterate on like their cardboard design, and then what you get left with is this beautiful little, recycle it if you want, tray for you just to plug your headset into, so you no longer have to kind of like, if you're someone who's like super on the cheap, you're that 16-year-old that I always keep talking about, and you buy this headset and you pay that money and you can't afford any accessories, like you get a lovely little place to place your headset that exposes the charging port. There's nothing blocking it. Just sits there nicely. It has the controllers ready and waiting for you to pick them up. It's just such a nice design. And at the same time, Meta's also being a little bit Mr. Monopoly evil in that oh, guess what? Your box just disintegrated. Now you don't have a box. You're going to have to buy our box. Like that's like, so from a carrying case perspective, back to your point, Jose, to again, double high five you on this is the travel headset. The mini carrying case, finally, we have a carrying case that's smaller than a shoebox. Finally, we have a carrying case that just holds it as if it's like this beautiful luxury headset I can take with me traveling.
Yeah.
This is probably the first carrying case since the very, very first Rift case that I like. It's small, it's sleek, and it's got a cool little feature, which is, again, I get really excited about these silly little things. But this thing in here that pops, it's like a popping mouth. Theory
I
cables
didn't even
in
notice that on mine.
is so rad. It's firm, it's easy to get into and get out of. The zipper's solid. Like, if I was to say accessory wise, they killed it with accessories because the accessories were available out the gates and they're great. Like, the two that I would recommend are that guy, the carrying case, and then the dock. The dock can be used at Quest 3 as well. If you have a Quest 3, miniature dock is so handy because it just gives you the rechargeable batteries. So you can just slap the controllers down when you're not using them. And then it's kind of got a lead that comes out and you just plug that into your headset. But it's this little compact thing that would sit on like a nightstand, next to your bedside or whatever, a dresser. And back to that point, sorry, because I got a little bit sidetracked there. The hand tracking in the dark, it tracks in pitch dark, zero light environments. And your hand tracking is nearly perfect. So from a movie watching perspective, if you want to consume content, this headset with that original, because you can see I've modded it now with the Bobo mini strap, right? I use it for gaming purposes. You're still going to want a secondary strap of some nature. This one's quite cheap, but that soft strap, man, it's a perfect device for consuming media, for just consuming a film or whatever. The only thing that I would say is battery wise, you'll probably consume an hour and a half film, no problem. 2 hours maybe. 2.5 hours, probably not going to finish the film. It's going to feel like your flight was landing and they turned the entertainment system off, unless you've got an external battery to keep the thing going and juiced. So those are my thoughts about it. I do think that media is actually the number one use case for this. Like, if you're like, oh, like in the years gone by, I would have said if you were going to play poker VR, or you were going to watch a film, or you were just going to hang out with people and play for less than an hour, that's great. The place that is its Achilles heel, it's going to hurt Rowdy a little bit. Productivity. It is not a productivity headset. Yes, it's very similar to a Quest 3. When you're playing games in that, the slight unsharpness of the lower resolution display paired with the Fresnel lenses isn't bad at all. For $300, it's amazing. But the thing is, if you come from a Quest 3 and you step down, or you're using the Quest 3S and then you step up, the pancake lenses, the text being actually sharp, it's only sharp in Quest 3. The 3S is not sharp, and it means that after 30 to 40 minutes, I found when I was like working in the headset, I was like, I can't. I gotta get out. And I don't have perfect eyes, so it's not a productivity headset in my opinion. I originally was recommending it to my brother for that reason, and then I had to withdraw my comments, and I said, don't get that headset for that reason. For gaming, it's fine.
That's unfortunate.
But if you are, if you want to use it, if you want the cheaper version of the Apple Vision Pro, where you can watch a full length film and it looks like it does on your television screen, you have to get the Quest 3. Don't get the Quest 3S. You'll be disappointed.
Yeah, there's a couple other caveats too. Like, if you are wanting to do either Quest 3S or Quest 3, like, two things about the Quest 3S is it doesn't have the as wide of the it doesn't have the slider like the Quest 3 has. It has the same as the Quest 2, where it's the
For the IPD.
For the IPD, yeah, I forget what I said.
Right.
So that can be a killer if you do have a really wide IPD. And also, of course, mentioned many times, but the lack of audio jack, which I guess could be mitigated with like a adapter of some sort. But if you
No.
are super hardcore about having third party, not using the built-in audio, then you're going to be SOL. So those are, I would say, also really big things to consider
That's a
if
very
you're
good point.
picking between the 3S and the 3.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning the 3.5 L jack, because the thing is, I've even got, so you could spend $300 on the headset, and then there's the Meta device from Razer, the Hammerhead earbuds, that are They even have not a Bluetooth, but a Wi-Fi signal that goes from an adapter you plug into the USB port. But again, think it's only one USB port. Am I charging the headset or am I using my earbuds? So having one port kind of sucks. And then on the flip side, right, with the USB, like what they should have done, in my opinion. Now I know they had to cut it, right? They should have had a USB port on both sides. If they could have afforded it, they should have had a USB-C port on both sides. So you could have done like Bluetooth audio and let me go into that in a second. I don't think Bluetooth audio is really a solution. Even the Wi-Fi enabled razors in something like a Beat Saber, it is not perfect. It is it is a bit off. Bluetooth. So wait,
use it, but
so the Bluetooth lag is worse. If you use your own Bluetooth pair earbuds, you're going to find, wow, this is like 500, 800 milliseconds off. It's quite off.
The latency is horrible.
If you use the Wi-Fi ones, it's maybe 150, 100 milliseconds. So it's really tight, but it's not perfect. And when you're used to perfect, you're like, this is also not good enough. So what I'm saying to you is, don't spend $300 on the headset and then think you can add the $200 earbud accessory and fix the problem. That's not going to marry. I've been going just soundbar audio. It's a cheap headset. Go soundbar audio. Stick it that way for now. If you have to, you probably would end up wanting to cable into the USB jack, i.e. a USB headset. And you're again asking for wire spaghetti. So.
And you mentioned go ahead. I'll let Jose. I'm going to talk about accessories.
Oh no, it's completely outside of that. So go ahead.
You mentioned the case. It's a nice case. I am someone who always has a third-party accessory on my Quest, like the battery pack. That will not fit in that thing. So just know that it is a nice case, but if you have anything other than the default strap, it's not going to fit.
So that's why I would specifically say this case is not for at-home storage and then use. Like that's what the dock or even just that cardboard bit that they have in the box is good for. If you're traveling and then you take the hard strap off because you're not going to be in for a 4-hour session and you travel with the soft strap, that's where this comes in handy. That's a very good point, Adam. Thank you for clarifying it. Now they do have a bigger case, obviously, that was made for the Quest 3, which again, that can take the firm long body strap, and the straps are interchangeable. That's good. So one thing to bear in mind, facial interface does not swap between the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S. So these cannot share faces, the facial interfaces. They can share straps.
Yeah. And you mentioned the charging dock thing, which I thought like, these charging docks are like stupid accessories. But then I got one and I was like, this is really cool because it has that satisfying just sting when they're charging, and that they're built really well where the wire's running underneath, so you don't have stupid wires just like sticking out of everything. So I'm a very big proponent of knuckle grips on my Quest controllers, but problem is I wouldn't be able to use that on these, but I am now considering the active. Yeah, that one. I'm very tempted to get that one so that I could still use the charging dock because it's such a nice dock.
I would. They work perfectly, by the way. I've tested that.
Okay,
so,
good to know.
Yeah, these are the official ones from Meta essentially, and the way that they
Can you guys hear me or no? Okay, then something is frozen in OBS then. I don't know exactly. Maybe if I do like a screen switch. No, it seems to be working OBS. Seems to be. But it's still frozen. Seems to be Discord actually. Yeah, this is Discord, I think. Yo. I'm gonna disconnect the Discord here for a moment and then try and get this. Just let me put on the pre-roll screen for a moment so I can try and fix it. We're back.
But I was relaxing
Yay.
and I was enjoying a quick game of Striking Vipers there. So. All right, chat, we're back. So we were kind of going back and forth on Quest 3S opinions. Adam, I think you were in the middle of something there. I don't remember what it was.
Just the controllers and how much I
Hmm.
do actually like the charging dock. I thought it was just a stupid gimmicky accessory, but it's actually really nice. I like it. So yeah.
I felt the exact same when the full board charging dock came, and I was like, "This is $180." You know, it was Canadian, but still crazy money, like 130 US. And I use it every day, and it's like I hate loving expensive products. I'll put it there because like I looked recently for the link cable, you know, just the USB-C to USB-C link cable that they sell. It's like, oh, it's crazy. I can't even remember how much it is. Like 120 Canadian.
Yeah.
And it's $100 US. And you're like, for a bloody cable? It's like,
and you
I don't
can
know, it
get
feels
something
like,
similar spec'd for like $20, like
Yeah.
easily.
but the other ones do not work well. What I mean is they technically work, but the problem with that is that the optical fiber and the lightweight of the cable make a difference in head tug. So like I've tried the cheaper solutions for the cable, and this is what I mean. Like when you're boxed into, I like the feckin' expensive thing, and I want to recommend this, but I know you're gonna hate me for recommending it. And it doesn't help that I partnered with Meta, like because now people are like, yeah, you're just shilling their expensive shit, man.
Well, I wanted to
There's a
add
few examples of that, right? There's a few examples of that, and I think in this line, the travel case and the charging dock are good accessories.
Yeah, I wanted to add real quick on the last part, since we're talking about, you know, saving money when it comes to MetaQuest devices.
Yep.
This is something I learned recently when I was buying my Apple Vision Pro used. Meta has an official eBay refurbished store.
Oh,
Yeah.
do they?
You can actually, yes, they do.
Oh.
And I believe they have the Quest 3 refurbished between $320 to $350. So if you just want to, you know, save a few bucks, it's sold by Meta, so that way you know you get the quality assurance that they looked at these devices and they're up to their spec. So that's a good option too. If you don't want to go for the cheaper option and go too cheap, you can probably spend an additional $30-$40
Smart.
and get the 3.
I love like Amazon warehouse and stuff. You can get stuff that's like, okay, the box is nicked up, but the product is fine. And if it's not fine, you just return it to them and say, give me a different one. So yeah, it's great. Great way to save money. I like those money saving tips, Jose. Keep those coming.
Always.
Okay, good man. All right. So like the other thing that I wanted to say just on the productivity side is I noticed a little thing that they have, and this is probably on 3 and 3S, but I noticed it on 3S. Meta Remote Desktop. MetaQuest Remote Desktop, which is now a desktop software, just like EgoDan's thing, where you install a client locally and from your headset, you're supposed to be able to connect. I have tried for the best part of 2 hours chopped up into pieces, and I can't get the two things to talk to each other. And so all I'm going to say there is, EgoDan, you're safe for the moment. Virtual Desktop is still my go-to. I just wanted to try it for comparison. I can't even get it to sync. I press the little connect my account button, and it just does that like little, doesn't want to take it. I don't know. Facebook's been doing that lately. I don't know why. Tried different browsers, tried 100 different things. When I finally get through that, I'll give you some opinions on it. Adam, did you by any chance happen to try Meta Remote Desktop?
Nah, I'm too hardcore virtual desktop. I was like, unless I
Yeah.
hear really good benefits of it over virtual desktop. Like, I even got that on the Vive, for the Viveport store. I was like,
Yep.
I know that they all have their own, desktop clients streaming things, but I'm like, I don't know.
I know.
Test it.
VD's great. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard once you go to VD. It's hard to go back.
Bring it to Apple Vision
Venereal
Pro, please.
Venereal disease. That's right. Once you've got it,
Jesus.
really complicates striking. But anyway, the intro setup, the stuff that you can't record as a creator, the stuff that you can't easily show people. I think the software, the intro part for Quest 3S was particularly good this time. I was like, if I handed this to my grandmother, she'd make it through those steps. It was really simple. It was nice how they showed you interactivity. They explored the universal menu in a way that was kind of like a faux menu. It wasn't a real menu, and explored scrolling and zooming and all that stuff. And then coupled with the fact that the software stack has gotten to the point where your whole 9-box grid library and all that can be across the room from you, and you can still scroll it and stuff. That's so cool, because it used to fade out, and now it's almost like semi-permanent. And I feel like they got the kick up the ass when Vision Pro dropped. They're like, shit, we need to let people have, the big TV screen and darken the outsides, and we have to let them scroll from a side and let their things stick and stay there. And then even in the pitch dark, in the complete pitch dark, I can use this where I can't use the Quest 3. So the Quest 3S does have a couple of benefits. And one thing that goes back to the DK2 days, I used to love how the DK2 looked on camera because it had all the purple dots as my Logitech webcam would pick up. And now it's got these two evil purple eyes like a demon. So, and they're on the outskirts. So they're like this one and this one. And in real life, you can see them glow like a reddish purple color. And so when I'm playing with my daughter, who just inherited this headset as an upgrade from a Quest 2, yeah, that's it. I suppose as summary, just like Adam was saying, it's kind of a boring proposition. It's great for someone who doesn't have that upgrade. Straight away, after a week's worth of use, I was like, I'll go back to Quest 3. Just because this doesn't give me anything more than what Quest 3 offers. But to give it to my daughter, she's like, this is incredible, because she's got full color mixed reality pass-through. We're playing Demio together. It's the perfect family headset. And I saw someone in chat say, I'm tempted to buy 3 more Quest 3S's so that I can do Demio board games with other people.
Oh, it's so cool.
This is the death of Tilt 5 right now.
Oof.
If Tilt 5 had a chance, it's now gone, in my opinion.
They
Because
still
for that money.
sort of Kickstarter-y style, or they actually have them where you could just boop, buy it and get it? Or like what?
I think you can buy it and get it.
Yeah.
But the problem is the software side. They don't have the support. When you've got things like Demio on a Quest and you can buy headsets for your friends or whatever, it's such a low price now. $500 was too much with Quest 3. So I'm glad we're down there. Last thing I would say about this, we touched on accessories. We touched on comfort and the need for a strap. Movie watching is still the best case for me. Adam, what would be your use case? Or like you said, it's best for someone who upgrades from a Quest 2.
Like I said, just honestly, if you want to upgrade from the Quest 2, or maybe you haven't gotten a Quest headset yet, and maybe you don't want the pre-owned Quest 3, or spend a little less, Quest 3S serve your purposes just fine. Like it's perfectly fine. You'll still have that color pass through. You're gonna have the same pretty much VR experiences as you would in any other headset, minus slight lens differences. But especially if you aren't already in the VR universe to know the difference in the first place, it's not going to be that big of a deal.
You won't be kicking yourself for the difference in fidelity. Just don't expect it to look like your TV looks. In other words, it's not as sharp as your desktop display is what I would say. It's just a little bit less, and it's enough that if you're new to VR or you're upgrading, it's the right for that price. You can't say no. Last thing I wanted to say about 3S, it's not a 3S specific thing, but more a 3S or a 3 related mixed reality experience, which I've tried, which requires user account setup, which is normally a barrier. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going to do that. It's like I'll go play something else. It's called Soapbox. Have you tried this out by any chance? Soapbox. It's a So it takes live,
No.
not live, it takes recorded, volumetrically recorded musicians. Think like Puzzling Places and stuff like that. And it places them in the middle of your room. So there's a singer-songwriter sitting on the bench with a guitar. There's a lady prancing about, dreadlocks flying all around the place. There's a three leather jacketed band singing, that type of thing. And what Rowdy's showing is kind of a mixture between mixed reality and virtual reality. And it's very compelling to have a full-size person in front of you. I would say it's equivalent to the salsa dancer experience of DOVR, but now for like music. And at the moment, it's not a subscription app. It absolutely will deserve to be at this level of quality. And it's really cool because I went in and I checked out a few different artists. This particular one had this awesome spectacle of like nukes going off in the background of this like post-apocalyptic city.
Out, didn't you?
Excuse me here. I had to go in for a closer look, you know? But like the thing is, I showed this to my wife and she's like, wow, this is incredible. She downloads the app. She went through like every single downloadable like musician and was like, I can't believe it. It's this person. They feel like they're sitting there playing music to you in your space. And it's an incredible journey. So this is called Soapbox. You just have to create a login for it. You log in, you download each of the videos essentially separately. And again, what's on display here is the VR side. The MR side works great. And you can flip between the two if you like.
Interesting.
Absolutely check it out. You can walk around people. You can stare at their ankles in detail if you want. Whatever you want to do. That's your personal gesture.
Really specific, bro.
So,
that was very specific.
Amaze VR is another company that does something like this, but they didn't have the mixed reality experiences. I had lunch with them because the celebrities were worried about being put in weird places and then people filming and being like, look, I found, T-Pain in the bathroom or like something. So for them, that's specifically why they decided not to do mixed reality is the celebrities were just worried about what people would do. And
that's totally coming. It's just
inevitable.
Inevitable. There's
agree.
no fighting. It's kind of like when, do you remember when U2 was like pushing back on MP3s and like, guys, this is not going to age well, for you. So anyway, digitization of people performing for you. Very cool.
Yeah.
This is a good little segue into the next piece. And this is our second main topic. And I won't spend too long because I know we're already running long as we normally do. Unfortunately, I thought today would be shorter for once, but no. We all got hyped up on Rowdy science and Hertz and all kinds of different things. So this is about the Wave. Now, for those of you who don't know the Wave was like a concert goer's spectacle a few years ago now. And in particular, I got to see Imogen Heap up close in person. So Rowdy's going to show you a screenshot of the experience. This is all I've been greenlit to share. They're in a closed beta at the moment, and so you can get like an invite or whatever. I happen to get an invite because I went along to their in-person real-life party at Connect, and they're like, hey, come along, here's an invite. Got the beta, downloaded the client, and logged in. Just happened to be at my same showtime, so I was really hoping to be able to share with my audience the full thing. We had to cancel it because they got cold feet, and they're like, oh, no, it might have a technical hiccup. We don't want to show it because, we don't want people to stain the word of now reborn the Wave. So Wave was here a few years ago, used to show great spectacles. Again, singer-songwriter, kind of similar to the Soapbox we were just showing you, but really in like, almost like you're in there with a bunch of other real users, and then the person is like either on a stage or in a room. And what Rowdy's going to show you next is the Wave in 2018, how it used to look. So we went in for this Imogen Heap thing. You were all these like characters that you met in a lobby as you did in like Alt Space back then, for example. And you'd click on a portal and then you'd be in this multi-user room, and the particle effects and the music and the spatial programming of the visuals were like, oh my God, I felt like I was eating watermelon. I was drooling over the whole thing. It was so gorgeous. And so the fact that the Wave is now back, and it was running on PC VR before. Now they're bringing that experience totally retuned. Feels like they've built it from the ground up. There's interaction capabilities in this like horseshoe menu that can pop up in front of you. You can throw around beach balls and throw roses on stage and go for crazy acid trips with other people who are in the audience with you. Like it's really full fat in terms of the experience, but then the animation capture of the live person has gone leaps and bounds. What you're seeing on screen is from 2018. What they've got now is really phenomenal. It's great full body capture. The legs are all moving. There's no jitter in the animation. It's smooth. They've got lighting effects, so the person can go from like human-esque avatar to something a little bit more like neon style. All meanwhile, you've got like lasers shooting off. You've got flying Chinese dragons illuminated in the sky in neon, and the person is like also able to do things like this artist who we saw, Latasha. She like sucked in all of our energies as a media vampire. So we had like
So
electricity flowing out of our faces, aggregating to her at a point, and then it explodes into more colors and stuff. And so like I'm trying to express what I saw visibly, which I can't share yet. I do have a recorded 45-minute kind of experience in the can ready to go, but they haven't greenlit yet. So I'm hoping that one day they say, yes, let the cat out of the cage so I can show this to you in full fat. But for now, I'll simplify the message by just saying the wave is incredible. If you're a concert goer, if you love music and you love live music, it's a live engagement. Two things that were really special and maybe daunting for some people. If you're shy, this might put you off of it. They had amazing shadows and stuff for the main artist, right? But then side stages appeared, and it's like, wait a second, what are these side stages for? So she takes a laser pointer finger and points at somebody in the audience, and the person all of a sudden appears dancing beside her. So the person in their headset, dance moves and all. There was this guy called Gil, and Gil went up there. We're all cheering Gil on. We're like, yeah, you go, Gil! And he's dancing away on stage right next to the artist. And so it felt very much interactive and in a special step up from what the wave used to be. The wave used to feel like that's them, this is us. And there used to be like I think it was a single instance back then. Now it's multiple instances that are somehow interconnected. There's a prime instance, and from the prime instance for this anyway, she was able to pull people on stage with her to dance or whatever.
The avatar is different looking from the old version, or how do people look to other people?
I described my wife as a bald orb face. It's just like a round, Tron-esque, bald, happy face, right? Person with a generic kind of body. They all look like just, I don't know,
bald people with
Tron dudes or something. I don't know. Yeah, no feminine anything. It was just like, just generic, sort of genderless, creatures. So kind of like the original wave, but not custom as back then you could pick like different heads or something. Maybe that's going to come, but I could also tell in their model, the plan is to support the artist by allowing you, I think, to purchase from this horseshoe ring of things that you can do to interact. I think you would purchase one of those special effects, which will slow down the en masse use of them, because we all had them for free. We could just spam them or whatever. There was a cooldown, but still. And then it would say so-and-so purchased. It would say it in the sky, like skywriting. Zimtalk 5 purchased roses or something like that, and then the roses would fall out. But all the objects were they all were different pieces of interaction. They weren't just an emote that came up above your head. Like the beach balls it was a party of beach balls, kind of like if you were at a music gig, all these massive beach balls banging off of people's heads. The roses would fly and sit at the feet of the artist or wherever you directed them. The dragon would fly through the air over your heads for a few minutes. So it was cool. It was a nice smorgasbord of like little interactive features. But I like the fact that they're thinking about monetizing in a way, kind of like you do with Twitch Bits, where you're able to, help the artist or whatever on an optional basis, where you're like, I want to pay the little bit, but at the same time, your name goes up there. Your name's up there on stage for a flash because you're the one who bought the thing, and now it's showing. So it kind of felt a little bit like, a little bit like Cam Girls, unfortunately. But
that's honestly, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, I don't like the fact that these tools are limited to the artist. I feel like this should be available to content creators.
But it is a big ass setup that you need to get that, So like, I feel like this could be almost the next level of live stream if being able to get 360 views of yourself as possible. But right now you need like shit ton of cameras and like nobody's got that,
Exactly. No one's got that in their spaces, but I think you're right. And I think that's the future item for those kind of live stream services. So that was the wave. I don't want to linger on it too much because we can't show you very much. And if we can't show and tell, then what's the bloody point? Let's flip it over to Jose for releases this podcast then. See what specials we have in the spotlight.
All right. So first up, we have a game we actually mentioned, I think, previous pod, but it's finally is releasing Human Fall Flat VR, the VR adaptation of the 2016 physics-based game, introducing a new control scheme where each controller represents your avatar's wobbly arms. Each level takes place in different environments. That's releasing October 31st. That's on Quest 2, 3S, and 3, PC VR, and now PSVR 2. Looks like it's going to be $13 US, about £10. And MetaQuest has a pre-order going on right now for $10 and about £8. So have you guys played Human Fall Flat?
The flat version.
Yeah. No, I haven't. I've
Actually,
only played
no.
Gang Beasts,
think-
which is like it.
So
Gang
There
Beasts.
good.
I think Rye had a mod for this a long,
right.
long time ago, and so I may have tried it very briefly for like a TikTok or something. But I'd
That's
already
awesome.
done the flat version
is
a
it-
lot.
Are they point A to point B levels, or is it just like a stage?
Yeah, they give it's an
Oh,
adventure
the maps
game.
themselves.
If it's
Yeah.
if it's the same game gone to VR, then yeah, it's
is.
puzzles. So yeah, you traversal across
Okay.
using physics as
So multiplayer co-op to some extent with
yeah.
these funny physics.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so
But
good.
you could
creatures.
mess people up and push them off of ledges and
Ugh,
stuff. It doesn't have to
I
be
love physics
cooperative
games.
exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be co-destructive.
I feel like we should play this. Okay.
I love physics heavy games. I'm so down.
All right.
But yeah, that's Human Fall Flat VR. And next I have Vendetta Forever, a mashup of Pistol Whip and Super Hot with fast-paced action, intense gameplay. Demos available now, released on October 24th. Quest 2 and all Quest devices, 3S and 3, and PSVR 2 looks to be releasing at $25 US, £20. Pre-order bonus. They actually do have a pre-order going on right now where it's called the pre-order party level at launch. Don't know what that really means, except yeah, I guess it's a level you'll get to experience only at launch.
Huh. And that scene with it reminds me of Bullet Train when they brought out kind of UE support for I think it was Unreal Engine 4 at the time, but it looks good. Looks like it would be a solid play.
I tried this at Gamescom. It was pretty
yeah.
fun. But the only problem was they were demoing it in one of those like portable rooms, and there's part of it you can do melee. Also, it doesn't have to be just gunplay, but I just whacked the wall really hard. And we were just joking beforehand. It's like, haha, nobody's hit a wall yet, right? It's oh no, nobody yet. And then it was me.
They probably thought you did it on purpose too.
Never trust
She
an
was
Adam.
warning us.
I
would
got
love it though
into
to
it.
see that. Like you kick the wall down, like Duke Nukem style. That would be amazing.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
That's so cool.
Well, yeah, that was Vendetta Forever. October 24th, $25, £20. And next one we have is Band Space, a VR version of Rock Band. Play guitar, bass, drums, and keyboard with up to 4 players. Demo available now, releasing on October 24th on all Quest platforms and PC VR. That's $20 US, £16. Meta has a pre-order going on right now for $16 and £13.
Oh man.
This is one I really want to play with you guys.
I would be keyboard chick. I want to call keyboard chick because
Drums.
I can totally do this, but anything that requires proper skill, I think I'm scared of. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was bass or guitar was the hardest one to
On
do. I
this.
don't remember which one.
All right,
But
so we got Adam on the vocals.
There's
I'm
no
gonna be on
vocals.
drums. There's no vocal. What?
There's no
So
vocals.
okay.
God.
Listen. You know what? I detract. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully they bring vocals, man. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. But yeah, looks like guitar, bass, drums, and keyboard.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I got
bass,
drums.
keyboard, drums. Yeah, keyboard. I'm going keyboard. You can put Rowdy on the bass because he looks cool.
Yeah, Rowdy looks like a bass player.
Bass guy.
He flips his hat
The
forward.
only instrument I've never
Oh,
played.
It's bass
Of
mode.
all the things that you've just mentioned, it's the only one I've never done. Okay, yeah, fine, I'll do it.
Oh,
He's got to bring you down to our level, Rowdy.
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
Sure.
It's called humbling, man.
Actually, wait, hang on. We got to ask this question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Musical instruments. If you had to call one out, which is the best thing you can play, what is it? Go on.
Piano.
My thoughts.
So, Rowdy, are you the only musically skilled among us then?
I
Piano?
think
Oh,
Or I
you said
used to.
piano. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you said, oh, no. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, didn't quite
I was
come
a
across for me.
stereotypical Asian child.
Okay. Piano. And Rowdy, what would be your choice? Your
I
weapon of
think
choice?
the one that I've done the most is vocals.
Focus.
Oh,
So,
cool.
see, we need it. We need the vocals on the game now. See,
True.
now we'll never know.
I was
Too bad.
a very sad, very short guitar player, so I'm gonna leave the electric guitar. That's the best I could do, but only used to do chords and stuff. How about you, Jose? What's your?
I'm not musically inclined at
No,
all. Like
no.
at all. No.
Well,
no.
I hear you're pretty good on an arcade cabinet.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really good at. I'm really good at. Yeah.
Get it to make
Like,
some noises.
literally. But yeah, that's Bad Space releasing on the 24th of October. And the last game I have is, you know what? I'll make this my favorite instrument because I'm pretty good at fist punching. Batman Arkham Shadow.
Ooh.
Releasing on October 22nd. Become Batman in this immersive Arkham experience. Releasing on the Quest 3 and 3S only. And it's included with the Quest 3 and 3S.
Yep.
So I don't know if that also includes previous Quest 3 models. I doubt it.
It's if you made a purchase basically since the Quest 3S was dropped. So it's kind of a time limited bonus, like what they did with Asgard's Wrath 2 when they were trying to push Quest 3 sales. Yeah. It's a bundle.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, that's releasing. I don't think we have a price for that one yet, but yeah, Quest 3 and 3S only. And that's all the games I have this week.
Death.
Yes. It's a rhythm game. I saw some video trailers. So
this does not Beat Saber.
It's my favorite instrument, my fists.
I would love it if they had a level though where Batman just goes bonkers and it's literally just a music rhythm game.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know. Maybe they packed one in there. They did some weird things with Asgard's Wrath. Remember, they had the mixed reality punch out scenes, which were particularly bizarre. So who knows? Maybe they did something with Batman. Okay. Want to do a recap there, Jose?
Absolutely. So first one we had was Human Fall Flat VR, releasing on October 31st. Then we have Vendetta Forever, releasing on October 24th. Then we have Band Space, releasing on October 24th. And Batman Arkham Shadow, available on October 22nd.
Wonderful. Plenty there for you to play and across a wide variety. Thanks again for covering releases, Jose. Much appreciated. Given it's the weekend, let's get ourselves out of here. This podcast runs every 2 weeks, every other Saturday on both YouTube and Twitch. Timestamps and audio versions follow the live show with glass smooth audio uploads landing on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes, the holy trio. Another special thanks to Kluge Interactive. Go check out Steam Next Fest after checking out this podcast and their VR fighting game, Final Fury. Striking Vipers. Chat, thanks for being with us here live. Always appreciate you. And that's it for today. We'll see you on the next FReality podcast. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.